Hey guys! It's been a while, hasn't it? So, how are you all? I'm tired but I'm still functionable. Welcome to my channel. For anyone new to the channel, nice to see you here with us. I post anime what if videos either never heard before, or reboot into a more clear audio. Before we start, no, I did not forget about the what if Godzilla was in Attack on Titan. Season 3 Part 4. Once again a year has passed in a world once filled with titans, ancient beasts now mark their return to the world, but can mankind live in this new world while another change will take place? Who is friend and who is enemy, and what will this mean for the rogue titan shifter Eren and the great predator Godzilla? If you like this video and want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe to see more anime what if stories. Chapter 14, The Truth. Everyone in the cells were silenced as the boy talked to them. But what shocked Mikasa more was that this boy is the same race as her and her mother. Hello? Testing, is this thing even working right? The boy said, touching his forehead. Eren saw a metal band under the boy's hair. From what he could tell, it wrapped around the child's forehead, seems to bend around his ear. The boy finished meddling with the device and walked towards the cell looking at Jean. Can you understand me now? Said the boy very slowly. What the hell is going on? Shouted Jean. Yes. It still works, said the boy with pride as he started doing a strange dance. Levi raised an eyebrow while the rest were just confused at the child's actions. My universal/dimensional translator works. Oh wait, I wonder what you guys' language sounds like. The boy touched his ears and removed a node that was attached to the bands. Okay, anyone like to say anything else? What is wrong with you? Asked Jean. The boy smiled. Oh, so that is your language. The boy laughed as he put the nodes back in his ear. I always wondered what you people in this dimension sound like. You know, your language is very similar to. Hey kid, said Levi, just who the hell are you? The boy stopped talking and stood up straight. Sorry, my name is Rokuro, a bookie, child inventor, and super genius if I do say so myself. Eren looked around the room, noticing someone missing. Wait, where is Mickey? Jean and Levi looked around the room and back at the boy while Mikasa sighed, and Ilsa too. Okay kid, if that is really what you are. What have you done with them? Spoke out Jean. If you are harming them right now, I'm going to. But before Jean could finish his threat, the same wall opened up, brining out the metal man that Eren had encountered. Everyone moved back from the bars of the cell as the metal man stood in front of Rokuro. Hey buddy, no need to scare the pants off these guys, I got the situation all under control. The metal man turned to Rokuro. Byya, it shouted. No, they did not answer any of my question yet. I have not even asked them yet. Byya. No, I was not showing off my translator, thank you very much. Now go off while I ask them questions. Byya. Well, if they don't, I can be intimidating. Byya. What do you mean I'm not intimidating? I can be intimidating. Hui, shouted Eren. Rokuro and the metal man turned to him, as Eren held up his hand near his mouth. Jaeger, what do you think you're doing? Jean hissed at Eren while Mikasa covered his mouth. You better tell us what you did with our friends right now, where this place is going to. The door opened again, and to the shock of everyone in the cell, Mickey came out. Oh, good, you are all alright, said Mickey happily. Hello, Miss Sigusa, I was just about to tell your friends that you are alright when somebody interrupted me. Rokuro glanced at the metal man. What is going on here, Sigusa? Said Levi. Mickey came up to the cell. I know this is confusing and there is a lot to tell you all, but right now you have got to trust them. Trust them? Shouted Jean, they nearly killed us. Ah, but we didn't, and by we I mean the guys that brought you here, not me, said Rokuro. Cause if we wanted to kill you guys, you would be dead already. Epically with this guy here, Rokuro said as he tapped the metal man's chest. Oh wait, I forgot to tell you guys his name. May I present to you the greatest invention of all time, Jet Jaguar. Byya. Jet Jaguar bowed. The room was filled with an awkward silence. After that moment, Levi told everyone in the cell to huddle up. I don't like this, said Jean. What if this is a trap? Mickey says we can trust them, said Eren. What about what the nebulin said, and where is Ilsa? Said Jean. He does have a point, spoke Levi. Yeah, and how do we know that is the real Mickey, added Jean. She could be one of them in disguise like what the nebulins do. Why not give her a test, asked Mikasa, but I do agree with Aaron. Jean, Aaron, and Mikasa turned to Levi for the deciding factor. Then Levi faced Jean. Ask her a question. Jean walked up to the cell and faced Mickey. Before we agree to anything. Just in case you're a fake, read my mind and tell me what I was just thinking. Mickey sighed and looked at Jean, then a faint blush appeared on her cheeks. I'd rather not say it out loud. Jean smirked, thinking he saw through their trick, then Mickey whispered into his ear. Jean's face froze and his face all red in embarrassment. She is real, Captain, we should trust her, said Jean very quickly. Okay, now that has been settled, any question I and you want to know, you will have to do it with our captain, said Rokuro. What do you say? Levi looked at Aaron and Mikasa and back at the child and robot. We don't have our blades, so we have no choice, said Levi. Oh, you have a choice, said Rokuro, walking to a panel by the wall. The other choice is to stay in here. He pushed some buttons and the bars lifted up, allowing them to walk out. Aaron stopped facing Jaguar. There was some slight tension coming from them. Then Jaguar raised his hand up slightly to Aaron. Aaron looked at the outstretched hand cautiously. Hey, Aaron looked at Rokuro, you guys don't have handshakes in this dimension? Aaron looked back at Jaguar and grasped his hand. Aaron winced at how tight the robot grasped, but soon it let go. Okay, now that's done, I'll take you guys to the captain, said Rokuro, heading to the door. Wait, what about the nebulin we were with? Asked Levi. Rokuro paused, looking back at the group with a show of disdain. We have her contained elsewhere. Rokuro shook his head and brought out a smile. Now come on, trust me, you do not want to keep the man waiting. Mikasa moved beside Mickey while Levi followed behind, leaving Aaron and Jean with Jaguar behind them. What were you thinking anyway? Asked Aaron. Just drop it, hissed Jean. Slap. Emer rubbed the side of her cheek as she lay down on medical bed. Okay, I deserve that. After slapping her, Historia grabbed Emer in a hug. You idiot, you were almost killed out there. Emer hugged her back and smiled. Oh, I had that under control. Historia looked up and glared at her. Don't joke. You know that the kaijus epically that rotten are more stronger than any titan. Historia's face was near to tears, almost running the angry expression she was trying to make. If those nebulins had not stopped it, you could have been. Emer grabbed Historia's face and kissed her. Historia relaxed into the kiss, only parting for air. Hey, I'm alright, no one or nothing is going to take me away from you, smiled Emer. Ahem. The couple turned towards the door, seeing the nebulin Queen Natala. Queen Historia, I would like to speak to you alone if you please. Emer groaned. You guys sure have the habit of coming in on the wrong time. I just had a brush with death, don't I deserve some moments with my girl here? Historia gave Emer a small peck on the lips. I'll be right back, and this time. Don't go anywhere, she ordered. Historia stood up and walked towards the door. Historia's expression was normal but showing signs of hidden rage. I assume this discussion is about what happened to Annie, she whispered harshly. The nebulin queen spoke no answer, she just simply nodded and motioned her to follow. But not without Natala looking at Emer on the bed. Emer moved back at the gaze the nebulin queen gave her. Natala smiled and closed the door. Aaron looked around the hall cautiously. Despite what Mickey said, he and the rest feel like they were in enemy territory, but what could they do? They were not armed and Aaron cannot transform or he will kill his teammates in the process. Aaron looked behind him, seeing Jaguar facing forward. Aaron flinched when the metal man looked down at him, making Aaron look away. From what the boy said, this is not really a human. Aaron knows creatures like titans and kaijus and even the nebulins, but never anything made of metal. If they really are the enemy, could there be more metal men like him? Here we are, said Rokuro, facing a metal door on the side of the hall. This is where we're meeting your leader, said Mikasa. Well, Captain, actually, but yeah, he is our leader, said Rokuro, pushing the control panel, and like the nebulins' doors, they slide open. The group looked into the room. Inside, the walls are colored blue. A large table in the middle with 8 white chairs stood on each side, and at the back of the table a red board with different language that Aaron could not understand. But what really caught their eyes was the people within. On the sides of the table are two of the men that attacked Eren, Jean, and Mikasa. The spiked hair one looked at them expressionless while the other one gave a smug look as if to dare them to attack. Sitting down on the chairs are two different people, in fact the same race as Mikasa and the boy. One was a woman in red with her hair tied up in a ponytail while the other one is a man in white clothes while wearing a green tie. And in the center of the room sitting in front of the board at the end of the table is a man that Levi recognized. This man was the one who knocked him out. His appearance is different from the rest. He did not share the same skin as them and he has a mustache. Also he wore a brown coat and at his side a sword in its sheath. But each of them wore the same metal bands as Rokuro wore. Jean leaned towards Mickey. Is he pointing towards the man in the center? Mickey nodded her head in silence. The captain put both his arms on the table and looked to them. Sit down and we can talk. Levi stood in front of his group as Rokuro and Jaguar stood on the right side of the table. And what if we don't want to sit? Levi said, eyeing the captain. Then stand, I don't care at all, just as long as we get some questions answered, the captain said, rubbing the bridge of his nose. Levi stared at him for a while, then calmly took one of the chairs and sat down, his squad following suit. The room was filled with an awkward silence. The captain stood up. Eren glanced at Levi thinking if he wanted him to transform right now, and as if answering him Levi gave a quick glare in saying no. The captain looked at Rokuro. Kid, do I have to wear this stupid toy all day? First of Captain Gordon, said Rokuro, they are not stupid, they are a highly advanced telepathic headbands that I created. You mean you copied it from the bugs, smirked one of the two men. No Kazama, I did not copied it from them, shouted Rokuro. Why do you guys always think I copy their stuff? I can make amazing things to you know. He did made Jaguar, spoke the spiky-haired man next to Kazama. Ozaki, don't play the big brother for the kid, said Kazama. Beside the kid did not even make it. Him, said Rokuro, Jet is a him. Everyone, we are getting off topic here, said the woman. So please act your ages. Jean watched the whole conversation and thought to himself. These guys are the enemies of peace? Thanks, Miyuki, said Captain Gordon. Now you lot. Gordon motioned to Levi's team. Here is what's going to happen. We are going to take turns asking questions. You ask one and then us got it? Alright, answered Levi. My first question. Who and what are you people? Straight to the point, huh? Like that, said Gordon. Well, as to who we are, I'm Captain Gordon, those two over there are Ozaki and Kazama. Ozaki bowed while Kazama just scoffed at them. This is Miyuki Otanashi and Dr. Genshiro Shiragami, are regular scientists. Miyuki nodded her head as Dr. Shiragami stood up and bowed to them. You already met the kid and the tin can. Hey! BYYOIA. Ignoring them, Gordon continued. As for what we are minus the tin can, here we are humans just like you. Gordon glanced at Ozaki and Kazama briefly, more or less. Eren looked at Ozaki and Kazama when he heard the last part of what Gordon said. Mikasa mainly glared at Kazama, remembering their last encounter. Kazama glared back as Ozaki rolled his eyes at his behavior. So you guys really are you humans, said Jean. Not just aliens in disguise? Wait your turn, kid, said Gordon. Now me, since you asked two, I'll ask two. First question, what did the bugs tell you about us? If you are speaking of the nebulins, then they said you all are enemies of peace that used their weapons against them, and they also said you have taken human form as them. Said Levi. But Captain, they are humans, said Mickey. Eren, Jean and Mikasa looked at her as she stood up from her chair. When I read their minds I could tell. You can tell the difference between us and the nebulins, said Jean. What am I saying? Of course you can tell the difference. Levi looked at Mickey. When did you read their minds? The nebulins, I mean. It was back at Tanako. When I saw one of them I could not help it, my curiosity got the best of me and I looked, but when I did I was pushed back and the nebulin looked at me. Like he knew I was the one who looked in his mind. The nebulin pushed you out of his mind, said Eren. It is not impossible, said Dr. Shiragami. Everyone looked at him. The nebulin's mindset is a complicated one, even I have trouble understanding it. One half of a nebulin brain is a hive mind, each one thinking the same as the next, but the other half has individuality. It could be possible with both of those in the mind. It might block telepaths. Right, said Gordon. Now my second question. Do you trust them? The Survey Corps were silent at that question. True that the nebulins saved them from the Baragon attack and the Titan shifters. They even gave them new technology to aid them. Yet the fact they took the forms of the dead, epically old friends and loved ones has always been a controversial subject. It also made them remember that moment in the capsule when Ilsa looked like she was about to attack them. Even now Mikasa remembered what the dragon said to her about what the nebulins and what they did on those other worlds. Gordon studied their faces, looking for his answer. Let's save that question for later. Your turn. Levi looked at Gordon, the nublin we were with. Take us to her. The Gotango crew looked at Levi. Why? You want us to free it, said Kazama. 'Cause that is a bad idea, said Rokuro. What's the problem in letting us see her, said Aaron while Mikasa and Mickey wondered about the question Gordon asked. Miyuki stood up. Listen, whatever the promise, whatever they gave you to help your people, you must not trust them. So why should we trust you, said Jean. For all we know we're your prisoners and you just trying to get us on your side so you could enslave us. I assure you that is not our intention, said Dr. Shiragami. Then Captain Gordon sat up and walked towards the core. Levi stood up as did the rest, Aaron lifting his hand near his mouth just waiting for the man to attack. But Gordon just walked past them to the door and opened it. Gordon faced the group. Well, you coming or not? The two queens entered a living room in the castle. Natala calmly sat down on a chair and picked up a teacup from the table. So where do we start off first? She said calmly, taking a sip. Historia sat in the chair opposite of the one the Nebulin Queen was sitting in. Historia looked at her with an expressionless face, but when she answered her, it was like spitting venom. Where do we start? How about the fact that somehow the crystal memorial from Tanakibo was in your ship, and most of all how you not only took Annie on your ship without my approval but you've turned her into a monster? Natala was unfazed by Historia's answer as she took another sip. From what I was told about her, she was already a monster. Historia paused before she was about to speak again. In fact, you could say this is her punishment. A fate worse than death, some would say, Natala continued. Not only have we altered her barely beyond recognizable, but we also have taken away her mind. Historia flinched at that. You what? Natala put the teacup down on the table. Oh right. You see, among our many advanced technology we possess a device that allows us to how should I put it? Enslave the minds of an individual. Historia could not believe what she was hearing right now, more so on how the Nebulin Queen was calm after saying that. You took away her free will? Historia said in shock. It is only for criminals, we do not believe in death penalties, Natala said, picking the cup back up and drinking from it. Besides, it is no less than SE deserves. After all, how many friends and families has she taken away? How many people have suffered because of her? For some time she has posed as your friend, your comrade, when in fact all along she was a spy and a murderer. Was she not? Historia tired to answer, but she could not object to some of the things the Nebulin was saying. True that Annie fought alongside them and betrayed them, and no doubt if she had not encased herself in that crystal she would have faced death if not on a table being experimented on. Historia took a deep breath and calmly looked back at Natala. What did you do to her? Natala took another sip. Did I not already said? No, Historia interrupted. I meant how did you make her into that creature? Oh, you mean how we made her into the Flora Titan? Natala once again put the cup down and placed both hands on her lap. Well, after finding out about what happened to the other traitor Bertolt. Annie recalled being told that Bertolt somehow survived his death at the hands of the Great Predator and had become a Crystal Titan and gained the ability to create crystals from the ground. Then when he fought the Great Predator again, after devouring a piece of the Predator's flesh, Bertolt changed again and nearly killed the Great Predator. It was only by using the crystals that the Great Predator somehow gained great power and finally killed Bertolt for good. We were always curious about the abilities of Titan shifters, but when your Survey Corps gave us notes about the shifters' abilities we felt it was, and forgive me when I say this, very primitive, said Natala. So you decided to take her from her cell, free her from her crystal and then experiment on her, said Historia keeping calm, and then you stole the crystal memorial for that experiment? Am I right on that? Natala glanced at Historia showing no signs of anger or insult from Historia's words. Well, you said so yourself that since we are allies, you would not hesitate to give me anything that would help us in any way. Historia frowned at that, she then stood up, formed her chair fast. But allies should not keep secrets from each other. Natala did not react from her response as she took another sip. Allies should trust each other, to share information and help each other, said Historia. I cannot deny that you have helped us, but holding secrets, epically ones like that, is what me and my friends fought against within the walls. Historia sighed, if you want this alliance to work you cannot take anything without consulting me. I am the queen. And if you don't respect that, then this alliance is over. Natala put the cup down and stood up as she looked at Historia in the eye. Historia looked back, but when she looked at her eyes, she could see a storm of fury in it. Natala then walked towards a window overlooking Walshina and the rest of the capital. I understand, Natala said without looking at Historia. If you want to end this, it will be done. Historia sighed at this, seeing the Nebulin Queen taking this calmly. But you will have to face consequences. Historia gasped at that cold tone from the Nebulin Queen, her face still looking out upon the wall and beyond. Consequences? Historia asked, are you threatening me? Natala turned to Historia, giving her a smile that chilled Historia to the bone. Why, of course not. She said, if you wish to end this alliance, me and my people will leave, and of course your people will keep the technology we give you. Natala then frowned. Of course, without our guidance on the workings of our gifts, it could cause some serious damage. It would be like a toddler playing with a sword, someone could get hurt or killed. Natala started walking towards Historia as she herself started walking back. In fact, a person might, with one of our devices, destroy the walls, thus letting the likes of titans and kaijus to prey upon humanity. Historia tried to keep a brave face, but with the icy stare the Nebulin Queen was giving her started to melt her bravery. You know, when we came to your world, I looked down upon this place, and what I saw when I looked was not walls but instead bowls already filled with food that any titan or kaiju can get their hands or claws on. Historia soon found herself against the wall of the room and Natala just stopping a few inches away. Not too close, but enough to know that Historia will not get away. Natala went to her pants pocket ready to pull something out, Historia prepared for what the alien queen was going to take out. Natala lifted her closed hand to Historia and revealed a small bottle. What is it? Asked Historia cautiously. Natala smiled, grew a bit. It is the thing that will stay back, the curse of Emer. Captain Gordon was up in front with Levi behind him, Ozaki and Kazama standing either side of him, while Aaron, Jean, Mickey and Mikasa with Miyuki, Dr. Shiragami, Rokuro and Jet Jaguar following behind. You know from what Jet told me you guys had this device that can let you just swing from one location to the next, is that right? Asked Rokuro. Mickey looked at him, you mean the 3D gears? Yes, they were made as. Hey, don't tell them about our gears, we still don't know if we can trust them, said Jean. I say we can, replied Mikasa. How do you know that? Asked Aaron. I just do, Mikasa said, looking away from Aaron. Is something wrong? Asked Aaron. Have you seen the situation we're in? Of course something is wrong, said Jean. And kid, how can you understand that thing? Jean said, pointing to Jet Jaguar. First of, Jet is not a thing. He is a he, and he is awesome, and it takes a mind as clever and smart as myself to fully understand what he is saying, said Rokuro with a smirk. Bye, replied Jet Jaguar. I am not bragging, replied Rokuro. Bye. I know you can speak for yourself, but come on, no one can understand you but me. Bye. How is that my fault? Mickey chuckled at their conversation along with Miyuki. Dr. Shiragami smiled as well, while Jean covered his ears at the Jet Jaguar's loud metallic sound. Aaron looked at Mikasa with concern. Ever since the founding of that large capsule, Mikasa has been acting a little strange even for her. Then the group stopped by a window on the right, but instead of showing outside, it was showing another room with Ilsa on a chair with her hands tied in chains behind her back and her legs tied as well. She was also guarded by two other men wearing the same uniforms as Ozaki and Kazama. Ozaki, said Gordon. You and the shorty come with me, Gordon motions to Levi. Levi frowned at that. My name is Levi, now what is this about? Well, Levi, just follow me and play along, you do know how to bluff, right? I have my moments, said Levi as he followed Ozaki and Gordon. The rest of you lot wait out here, said Gordon. Jean was about to argue, but Mikasa pulled him back and Mickey assured him and Aaron to listen to him. As they went in, Gordon told the guards to leave the room. They saluted and left the room, leaving Gordon, Levi, and Ozaki with the bound nebulin. Ilsa had her head down, not even bothering looking up at her visitors. Okay, Bug, listen up, said Gordon. Levi turned around to find the window that he and the others looked through was not showing the other side. We told your friends here everything, continued Gordon. They know the truth about you all. Of what you really are. Ilsa did not respond. Levi did notice her arm twitching a little. You tried to pull the same stunt here as you did on Earth. My Earth. Well, tough shit, we're here now to stop you once and for all. The room was still filled with silence until Ilsa let out a chuckle. This is bad, I never heard her laugh before, said Jean. It's just getting worse, said Dr. Shiragami. Even Levi was slightly shaken by the laughter the nebulin was giving. The laughter stopped, then Ilsa lifted her head up. When she did, Levi's eyes widened in shock, while Aaron, Jean and Mickey moved back a little in surprise except Mikasa as she narrowed her eyes. Ilsa's eyes, once human, now large and fly-like. You miserable apes, Ilsa's voice now deep and slightly high, if you think you've won, you're wrong. This planet, this universe is already ours and you have already failed this world just like your world. Suddenly her arms burst, showing large thin arms with 3 claws at the end, breaking the chains, and her legs like the arms burst, showing grasshopper-like legs with 2 clawed toes at the end, breaking the chains. Levi instinctively went to his side for his blades but cursed himself, remembering that they were gone. As Ilsa was about to charge, Ozaki pulled out a gun from his side and blasted her quickly in the chest, bringing her down. The rest outside came in the room. Aaron, Mickey and Mikasa went beside Levi, seeing the body of the nebulin. Ilsa raised her head and let out one final word, long live the Queen, then her head fell back and her eyes dimmed. Gordon looked at Levi and he as well. Now back to my question. Do you trust them? The cures of Ymir? Oh, not your lover, just her name, Sake, your ancestor, said Natala. You see, while Kubota was examining Annie, she told us many interesting things. Does Marley mean anything to you? Before Historia could answer, Natala interrupted. Oh, it does not matter if you know or not. Put it simply, there is a price if one will become a Titan shifter. Oh, there is the part where one must become a Titan and then eat the old Titan shifter, but the other price is that from the moment you become a Titan shifter your life shortens to 13 years. Historia's eyes widened in horror. She did not want to believe her. I'm sorry, I thought you know, Natala said. Did not Ymir told you about it? Historia then thought back to the days of when she and Ymir started out as a couple. On those happy days, Ymir would always secretly give out a sad look on her face. Ymir would think she would not notice it, but Historia had seen it multiple times, and if she asked about if Ymir would change the subject and move on. Historia's sights then turned to the bottle that the Nebulin Queen was holding gently in her hand. Natala of course notices this. After that little discovery, Kubota at once examined every Titan that we have collected during our time here and developed this liquid. Will it stop it? Historia said silently. I'm afraid not, answered Natala, kissing Historia to look at her, and before you think I'm lying, Kubota made sure to check the data. He is never wrong. For you see, what this liquid can do is increase the life expectancy of the Titan shifter who takes it. Natala then placed the bottle gently on the table, Historia never taking her eyes off of the bottle, seeing it now as the most important thing in the world. Tell me, Historia, said Natala. How long did Ymir told you she had been a Titan shifter? Or Aaron, how long has he been one? Historia immediately understand now why she was brining this up. She is using the bottle as a bribe. You can take this one bottle if you want, smiled Natala. But that is all you get. One bottle, who are you going to give it to when the time comes? Historia started breathing rapidly. She tries to calm herself, but she is not forgetting that she's just entered a trap. Such is the life of a ruler, isn't it, said Natala. Sometimes for the good of everyone, we must do things we do not want. Historia took a deep breath, her eyes tearing up but no tear has fallen. She glanced at the bottle and back at Natala. Historia sighed, "You win." "I know," answered Natala. Natala clapped her hands 3 times. "I will order mass production on the liquid at once. Also, before I forget, for the benefits of our continued alliance, I'm giving you a bodyguard. I think you might like this one." The door of the room opened as a nebulin stepped in. "Ah, here she is now." Historia turned around and her eyes widened in shock and horror. The nebulin stood before her had the appearance of her long-dead sister. "Hello," the nebulin smiled, "I will be your loyal bodyguard, you can call me Frida." "Her name as well?" Historia thought as she looked at the nebulin in shock and disgust. "Is something wrong, Historia?" asked Natala. Her smile never left her face. Historia lowered her head, her hands turned into a fist and tightened almost to break the skin, but Historia took a deep breath and loosened her grip. "No," Historia answered, giving off no signs of anger in her tone, "I am going back to check on Emer." Historia started walking to the door but stopped midway. "Actually, Queen Natala, if I may ask?" "What do you wish to ask?" said Natala, putting the bottle back in her pocket and taking a sip of her cup. "The people in the walls are starting to want to leave," Historia continued, "some wanting to go to Tanako and some wanting to make a new town." Natala listened as Historia continued on. "Even now the fear of titans are vanishing thanks to the great predator and to lesser extent the kaijus and your people. True that the kaijus still pose a problem, but the kaiju corps are showing signs of dealing with them. Soon there will be no need of your protection. So I hope you don't keep the people in the walls." Historia turned to face Natala. Her face filled with rage but kept a calm voice, "Because after many long years of being in the walls are starting to bother everyone, and the more you keep them and the less love they will show you." Historia left the room after that. Natala smiled faded as she casually dropped the cup, shattering as it hit the ground. The Nublin Frida followed Historia, leaving Natala alone in the room and thought. Aaron watched as the other men carried the alien corpse away. Everything the nebulins told them was a lie. "So they really are bugs," said Jean. "Just be glad you did not see them when they fully shed their fake skin." "Yuck," said Rokuro. "They are one ugly mother." "Rokuro Ibuki," said Miyuki. "A boy your age should not speak that language." "Sorry, ma'am." "I knew that there was something about them," said Mickey. "But what do they want?" "They said they wanted peace," said Mikasa, remembering what the dragon told her. "But peace for who?" "That's right," said Dr. Shiragami. "One person's peace is another's enslavement." "Is that what happened to all of you?" said Aaron. "It is a long story," replied Miyuki. "Then you better start talking fast," said Levi. Before anyone could answer, the whole room started to shake. Rokuro almost fell, but Jet Jaguar caught him in time. "What the hell is going on?" shouted Jean. Gordon went to a speaker on the wall. "Bridge, what the hell is happening out there?" "Sir, we are under attack." "Kaijus? Nebulins?" "No, sir. Some large humans-like creatures." "Titans," said Aaron. Natala looked out the window once more. She pressed her hand at the communication device in her ear. "Kuboto, any words from Fumio or Ilsa?" spoke the queen. "Yes, your majesty, he recently sent one of the Titan shifters via teleporters, but Ilsa has not reported in." Natala closed her eyes a moment, then hissed, "She is dead." "The Gotengo?" "I believe so," she answered. "What are your orders, my queen?" asked Kuboto. Natala looked down, seeing the humans walking about. From her special sight she could see multiple humans whispering to each other as nebulins passed by them. "The Titan shifter must be kept within a cell, no experimentations. For now. Other than that, we begin the next phase. The Flora Titan is to remain here." "At once, your majesty," said Kuboto. "But which of the two do you wish me to send to Tanako?" Natala smiled wickedly. "Both." Chapter 15, Gotengo Crew vs. Titans. One by one pure Titans try to puncture the Gotengo. Their cursed forms can smell the scent of humans within as they try to get to them. The abnormal types try to launch them the large ship only to break their twisted forms, but still they keep trying. "How many of those damn things are out there?" shouted Gordon to the speaker. "We count maybe 8 or 10, sir, and I think more are coming." The room shook again due to the attack outside. Ozaki turned to Eren. "You called those things Titans, right?" "Yes, they have been plaguing humanity for many years," explained Eren. "I take it they eat humans," said Kazama. "Yes," answered Jean. "It is because of the Titans that humanity was almost wiped out, and mankind has been fighting them ever since." "If you fought them, do you know their weakness?" asked Miyuki. "Yes, let us help you," said Mikasa. "But for that we need our gears," said Levi. "Please, we can handle these things without their help," said Kazama. "It's your call, Captain," said Ozaki. Gordon looked at Eren's group. When he looks into their eyes, he sees that of soldiers who have fought a long and terrible war. Gordon turned back to the speaker. "I want you to round up 4 of the M squad. Ozaki and Kazama will join them, and also tell Tadopoulos to stop tinkering with those devices, them back to their owners on the double. They are going to need them." "Right, sir, but actually his name is Tadopol." "Yeah, I don't give a shit. Just tell him to hurry it up now," shouted Gordon, signing off. "Levi, right?" Levi nodded. "Okay, once you get your weapons back, tell these 2 how to kill those Titans," Gordon said, pointing to Ozaki and Kazama. "Don't worry, we'll have your backs," said Eren. Ozaki nodded while Kazam scoffed. "Yeah, because you guys did really well against us." "Hey, you guys jumped us," shouted Jean. "Oh yeah, and take the bucket of bolts with you." Gordon pointed to Jet Jaguar. "Just in case." "Awesome." "You ready, Jet?" asked Rokuro. Jet Jaguar gave a thumbs up. "BYIA." Ozaki and Kazama lead them through the hull of the ship as the Titans continued their assault. Soon they reached a large corridor where 4 people, each wearing the same suit, and Kazama. Levi recognized one of them as the woman that lead him to the Gotengo. She eyed him for a moment, then looked back at her blaster. "So you guys are like the special team or something?" asked Jean. Kazama pulled out a blaster from a weapons rack on the wall and looked over it. "You could say that. So all we have to do kill them is attack the nape of the neck?" asked Ozaki. "That's right," said Eren, quickly observing the weapons that each of them had. "Are you sure 4 men is all you need?" asked Mickey in concern. The 4M squads looked at her for a moment, then returned checking their weapons. Kazama answered, "If that is all the info you gave us on these Titans, then 4 is all we in." "Careful, Kazama," said Ozaki. "You know what they say about underestimating an opponent." Kazama scoffed at his comrade. Then a sound of rolling wheels started echoing across the hallway, and 2 men entered wheeling a metal trolley with the Scouts' 3D gear on it. "Hello everyone," spoke the dark-skinned man. "Here is radical strange gear for our cool new dimensional friends." The Scouts looked at him weird. "Is here wearing those translator things?" asked Jean. "Because I don't think I get what he said." The other man stepped forward. "What my friend Randy said, your gears is here and ready you." "About time, Toadopoulos," said Kazama. The man rolled his eyes. "It's Tatopoulos, Nick Tatopoulos. And I'm Randy Hernandez." Randy said, looking at Mikasa, "A pleasure to see a lovely-looking girl in any dimension." Mikasa looked at him for a second and went over to pick up her gear and turned away from him so to put on her gear. "No matter what world we're in, women are all the same," sighed Randy. One by one the Scouts put on their gear and Eren was the last to put his on. "All right everyone, check your intake. Is everyone's enough?" asked Levi. "Damn it, mine's busted," said Jean, glaring at Kazama, remembering their first encounter. Kazama did not respond to him. "Then you're out, Kirstein," said Levi. "Guess that leaves me, Jaeger, and Ackerman." "BYYOIA." The Scouts flinched after hearing Jet Jaguar's loud voice behind them. "Hey Double J, my main metal amigo, how are you doing?" said Randy, holding his hand up and giving the robot a high five. Then recoiled afterwards. "Ouch, you would think I can to do that again." "All right, follow our lead. Like we've said, we know how to deal with Titans," said Levi, addressing the group as Nick and Randy moved away from the hall along with Jean and Mick. "So where do we exit?" Eren asked. Kazama pointed to a switch on the wall and grabbed it. "Right here." Kazama pulled it and a door in front of the group opened, and as it did, it revealed the face of a Titan grinning at them. Before anyone can do anything, Kazama raised his blaster and sent a barrage of blasts at the Titan's face. The result of the barrage pushed it back away from the ship. Well, don't any of you stand there, shouted Kazama, move out. During this battle, think of the song that was played in Godzilla Final Wars when the M Squad was fighting Ibira. Both Kazama and Ozaki jumped out along with the rest of the M Squad. Eren watched as they moved with incredible agility epically without the use of the 3D gears like the AR. Levi then slapped his head, getting Eren out of his thoughts, stopped daydreaming and helped them out. Then Levi activated his gear and jumped out, and both Eren and Mikasa jump along with Jaguar. The pure Titans tried to get a grip on a few of the M Squad, but they have proved most difficult to catch. One tried to grab Ozaki, but he managed to dodge its grasp, and he ran arm and jumped off its shoulder and fired at the back of its neck, completely destroying it. Two of the M Squad were grabbed by two pure Titans, but to surprise of Levi's group, they managed to easily break hold of their fists and fired at the neck, dismembering it, and the head fall like the Titans' fingers as they freed themselves. Levi managed to take down two abnormals and was heading to assist, but he noticed a pure Titan about to chomp at him from behind. Levi was about to strike, the Titan fell down ground. Levi noticed a large hole in its neck. Levi landed on a tree branch and saw the woman land next to him. "You're welcome," she said as he jumped off, heading straight of the next one. Levi watched her go, impressive. Mikasa took down 3 Titans but noticed more coming. She saw the M Squad doing well as Eren and Levi. She noticed Jaguar staying by the ship watching the fight, acting as guard for the ship. Mikasa flinched hearing all 3 of the dragon's voices in her head. "There will be more coming. Let us lend you our strength and speed. Let us prove our promise to you." Mikasa's mind raced with an image of the great predator appearing and scooping Eren into his jaw. She came back to reality just as 4 abnormal Titans are about to jump Eren. Mikasa looked around her, noticing many pure Titans surrounding the tree she was on. Consumed with her worry or Eren and feeling a sense of doubt in her skills, she closed her. Mikasa spoke the third head. "I agree," she whispered. "Give me your power." Levi noticed Mikasa not moving from her position and the Titans nearing her. He shouted to alert her, "Look out, you idiot." Mikasa opened her eyes and brief flash of yellow covered her eyes. It seemed impossible, but when Levi blinked, not only was Mikasa gone from her spot, but the Titans that surrounded her were immediately cut down into shreds. Eren noticed the surrounding Titans. He was about to transform, but like a flash of lightning, Mikasa gracefully cut them down one by one. Eren launched himself to a branch and saw Mikasa continue to speed up her attack on the remaining Titans. Then, as quick as a blink, Mikasa soon appeared beside him. "Mikasa," Eren said in surprise, how did you move so fast?" Mikasa looked at Eren and he could have sworn that her eyes were a different color. "If you can't pay attention, then you have no place here," she said coldly. Eren was surprised. She never talked to him like that before. Eren was about to respond, but Mikasa moved again to assist the M Squad. Eren could only watch in surprise at how fast Mikasa was moving. He'd seen her in battle before, but she was now just as fast as Levi, if not faster, and the way she cut down those was like she was a Titan herself. Then Eren noticed one of the M Squad got his leg bitten off by one of the Titans. He fell down and his weapon far away, with the Titan about to pick him up to devour him. Eren was about to save him, but Jaguar grabbed the Solider off the ground and with a great jump put him back into the ship. Nick and Randy grabbed the wounded Solider into the ship as Jaguar jumped towards the Titan. As Jaguar raised its arms to strike, the Titan opened its mouth wide and the robot whole. "Oh no, Jaguar," shouted Mickey. "Oh, don't worry," said Randy with a grin. "All tall, naked and ugly is going to find out he bite off more than he could chew with old Double J." Eren was about to change into his Titan form. But suddenly the Titan that ate that robot started to bulge. The Titan started expanding more and more until it exploded, and where it once stood now stands a 15-meter-tall Jaguar. Eren looked at the now giant robot in shock. "What the hell?" he said. "It can do that," shouted Jean in shock. "Don't look at me, I did not build him," said Nick. "Oh, this is going to be awesome," said Randy, getting ready to enjoy the show. Jean was still in shock over what just happened. "Mickey, did they tell you that thing could do that?" He looked at Mickey but saw her holding her hands and her eyes shut. "Mickey? Ms. Sigusa?" Jean said. "Jean, please, I'm trying to concentrate," she replied, returning to her mind. Jaguar turned to see the oncoming Titans and seeing his comrades continuing their attack. "Byya." Jaguar charged at the Titans and started punching them one by one. his metal fists shattering the Titans' skulls. Levi landed softly on the ground watching the Titans attacking the now giant metal man. Just when I think I've seen everything, said Levi, not surprised. Kazama, Ozaki, and the rest of the M squad landed right next to him along with Mikasa. Kazam groaned, I hate when that bucket of bolts does that, just when I was having fun. Ozaki turned to them, alright everyone, let Jet handle this, let's all regroup and recharge. Can it handle all of them? Asked Mikasa. Ozaki turned back watching Jet Jaguar pile drive one of the Titans on another Titan, you'd be surprised what it can handle. Eren of course did not hear the call to return to the ship, but instead willing to assist he used his gear to jump off the tree and headed off to the rest of the Titans. Eren held up his hand and bite down on it hard, activating the transformation into the attack Titan. The M squad paused after seeing the transformation. Ozaki turned to Levi, I don't suppose you all can do that? Nope, but it would make it easy, said Levi. Mikasa cursed under her breath and followed Eren. Jet Jaguar tried to pull one of abnormal Titans off of him just as one of the largest pure Titans was about to charge right at him. But as it was about to, Eren got in its way and H-Titan with both fists knocking it away. Jet Jaguar managed to rip the abnormal off of him and tossed it to the ground. The robot looked at the attack Titan. Eren thought Jet Jaguar was about to attack him, but the robot just gave him a thumb up. BYYOIA. Eren nodded, turned back to the Titans as they started to gather up into a group formation. Jet Jaguar stood by Eren and both of them assumed an attack position ready for the attack. Eren. Eren blinked, hearing Mickey's voice in his head. Quickly, you got to move away from those Titans now, hurry. Eren did not understand but nodded in response and moved slowly away. Jet Jaguar, seeing what he was doing, followed him. Mikasa was nearing Eren when she noticed him moving away. Thinking to herself that she could finish off the remaining Titan, she started to speed up towards them. Mikasa, spoke Mickey telepathically, you got to wait. What is that? What are those things in your mind? Silence. Suddenly Mickey was pushed back by an unknown force and hit her head hard on the wall. Mikasa paused in her step. Mickey? Was that her voice? Mikasa, said the third head, quickly move away from the Titans. Mikasa, acting fast, moved away just as the ground started to shake. The Titans paused in their steps as one of them looked down. Suddenly the ground crumbled as a large jaw grabbed hold of the remaining Titans. Everyone watched as a huge light green, six-eyed worm erupted from the ground with the Titans from its mouth. The kaiju worm in question is known as El Gusano Gigante. Gigante, feeling full and with food still in its mouth, dug a new tunnel and left. Wow, how did you get that thing here, Mickey? Jean said. He turned to look at her but noticed her on the floor with blood coming from her head. Oh, God, Mickey, shouted Jean, rushing to her side. Nick ran to the intercom, get Med down here, hurry. Eren watched still in shock over what just happened, then he noticed Jet Jaguar was looking in the opposite direction. Eren was about to turn as well, then the robot jumped up, started flying away towards that direction. Captain Gordon watched the whole thing on the screen. Kid, where is that robot of yours going? Hold on, I just asked him that, replied Rokuro, holding a pad to his ear. Okay, he said there is danger at that settlement? Is it the other Godzilla again? Said Gordon. Rokuro listened and his eyes widened. No, Captain, it's the nebulins they're attacking. Chapter 16, Attack on Tanako. Some hours during the time of before the Titans attacked the Gotengo. Deep within the nebulin ship, Kuboto walked down the dark hall of a large room. Two nebulin scientists walked side by side to him. Sir, has the Queen given orders to what Mu done with the new Titan shifter? Spoke one of them. Keep him sedated for now, said Kuboto, still walking down the large hall. How's the preparations on the kaiju that Fumio sent? All cybernetic implants have been added on to your specifications, sir, said the nebulin on his left. Kuboto chuckled. Good, it is always nice to have an extra addition to our arsenals, speaking of which the Queen has ordered to send two of our finest kaijus to attack Tanako. The two Nublins paused in their steps, both of them, they said in shock. Kuboto paused, looking upwards at a tall figure. Its size is about 65 meters in height, its stand vertical. The many noticeable features on it are three large fins on its back, and hands should be there is instead scythe-like blades on each arm. The face resembles a cross between a bird and a lizard with a red visor on its face. Kubota raised his hand and held out a cylinder device, the same one he used to control the Flora Titan. Gigan. Rise. The theme Gigan rises from Final Wars plays, then the visor of the kaiju glowed red and lifted both arms up and crossed them in an X position. It stomped on both feet and lifted its tail up and down. Gigan. The cyborg monster has awakened to carry out his master's orders once more. Above Gigan a hole opened up showing the skies. Gigan, commanded Kubota. About a mile north from this location there is a town. Destroy it and anything that tries to stop you. Gigan's mandibles moved away from his mouth as he let out a cybernetic roar. Gigan raised his head up along with his blades and flew up towards the hole and out of the ship. Kubota smiled and turned to the two nebulins. You will put the second one in a capsule and launch it at once. Yes sir, they both said, went off to follow their orders. Kubota chuckled to himself. Finally it's time. Hear me my friends, my fellow humans. I speak to all of you not as one of the church but as one who has seen for himself the kindness of our friends from the stars. Pixis watched from across the road, seeing Father Monroe continue his speech about how great the nebulins have been to the people of the walls. It is still hard to believe that his man who showed much dislike for the nebulins now suddenly has a change of heart. It is true that once I had suspicions about them, just as you once had or still do, but once I saw for myself during that attack from that winged devil. I saw them trying hard to us. They do not deserve our fear but our gratitude. Pixis continued to watch in suspicion. Commander Pixis. Pixis turned, seeing Irwin approaching him. Ah, Commander Irwin, how is the Knights of the Kings? They sometimes butt heads with other members of the Corps, but they are loyal in their team. Irwin smiled a little. Actually, I like to thank you for suggesting that I join them. Pixis smiled back. Well, I figured you would be a prime example for them, plus we don't want them to plan a coup on Historia. We don't want a second one. Agreed, said Irwin. He watched as Monroe left his audience, some of them agreeing with his words while others are confused or feeling betrayed by what he said. It is strange, I never imaged Monroe, the most devoted member of the church, change his mind about anything epically the nebulins, said Irwin. Yes, it almost seems he changed too fast, said Pixis in suspicion. Irwin eyed him. You think the nebulins did something to him, threatening him maybe? Pixis put a hand on his chin, and though hard to tell, but truth be told I always had a bad feeling about those nebulins since they came here. I agree, said Irwin, when they came they seemed to helpful. I have a feeling that they might expect us to give them something in return for their kindness someday. Like a flash a shadow quickly came over them and vanished. Irwin looked up fast to find the source. What's wrong? Asked Pixis, unknowing of what happened. For a second it seemed like something flew over us. Pixis looked up at the sky, only seeing clouds and traces of the nebulin ship overhead. Pixis looked back at Irwin. You think the Rodden came back? Irwin continued looking up. I don't think so, but I know something flew over us. Then Irwin spotted something launching from the side of the nebulin ship. Irwin tired to figure out what it was, but it too flew too fast for him to see, but this time Pixis saw it. What was that? Pixis asked. Irwin narrowed his eyes as he looked at the nebulin ship. I don't know, but I think they do. Sasha, are you sure that is safe? Asked Connie, dumbfounded at what he was seeing. Well, of course it's safe, I do this for him all the time, said Sasha. What Connie was watching in shock was Sasha standing in Anguirus's mouth, using her blades to scrape off some chunks of food out of his mouth. Okay, that should be the last of it, Sasha smiled at her work. As soon as she jumped out, Anguirus closed his mouth and walked to the edge of the town. Try to be careful next time about what you eat, okay? She shouted to the kaiju. Anguirus turned and roared back at her in response. No matter how many times he's seen Sasha treat that giant creature like it was her own child, it is still weird to see. Laura walked right by Connie, watching Sasha waving at Anguirus. You know, even now he's big, it is still cute how she babies him. Connie looked her and back at his teammate. Do you know when Sasha started acting like she's his mother? Laura thought for a moment and giggled. Well, yes, it is a kind of heartwarming and cute tale. You see, what happened was that. Pardon me, Ms. Laura? Laura and Connie turned to see three members of the village, one of them a farmer and two of the House of Deliverance. Oh yes, how can I help you? Said Laura. Do you know when Miss Segusa is coming back yet? Asked one of the clergymen. Laura paused for a minute, while she informed for me that she will return soon and that she won't be gone long. But the sun is already setting and it will be night soon, said the farmer man. Connie saw Laura almost sweating from her face as she rubbed her hands nervously. Oh well, you see. Actually, Ms. Laura, we are here to talk about something else, said the other clergyman. Oh, what about? Connie noticed how the three men were looking nervously at Anguirus. Then the old farmer spoke. You see, it is about Anguirus. What about him? Laura asked. You see, Ms. Laura, said the first clergyman, we think it might be best if Anguirus should leave Tanako. Laura gasped and Connie nearly shouted, What are you kidding me, why? I think it should be obvious, don't you, said the farmer. We are talking about how it attacked the great predator, said the second clergyman. Oh come on, that was only because he was trying to save Aaron from being eaten by it, said Connie. The great predator is the champion of deliverance, said the first clergyman standing in front of the small group. Attacking the great predator is sacrilege, and if that creature we might lose favor for deliverance, that monster has to go. Before Laura could speak, a blade struck the ground right in front of the clergyman, nearly missing him. Everyone turned to see Sasha marching straight towards them with her face full of rage, obviously overhearing the conversation. Sasha, don't do anything rash, said Laura, trying to keep everyone calm. Instead, Sasha grabbed the clergyman by the neck of his robes. Now you listen to me and listen good, you hear me, she snarled at the frightened man. I won't lie that the great predator has done a lot for humanity, and I won't lie that this town was made because him nearly wiping out the Titans, but let me ask you something. She paused, making sure he was listening. Then she dropped him on the ground. Who helped save this town when that Bagora came? Anguirus. Who defended us when the Titans came to this town? Anguirus. Who saved your stupid lives at the risk of his own? Anguirus. Sasha shouted at him, then looked at the other two. And do you know why? She asked. Why he would risk his own life to protect creatures who are small and weak. He could just as easily eaten all of us. Sasha took a deep breath, said calmly. Because he sees us as family. True, when we first met him he was a baby and he imprinted on me, and he, though I was one of his own kind, but now he is not a baby anymore. Thought that Anguirus would know the difference between himself and humans, but did that change his mind? Did he want to eat us or leave us for his own kind? No, he didn't. Sasha turned back to Anguirus as he stood watch for any signs of invaders to his home. Anguirus stayed to protect us. He sees this as his home and us as his herd, and despite how we are not one of his kind, he still stays to defend us. Sasha turned back to the three men, flinching at her as she pointed to them. So if you still think you want to get rid of him so you can avoid some divine wrath, ask yourself this. What do you call a creature that is willing to protect another that is not of kind? Sasha paused, waiting for any of them to answer. Even Connie and Laura paused to wait. Then Sasha said, well, whatever you think it is. To me, I call that being a hero. Then a low growl filled the area. Everyone turned to see Anguirus facing the town and looking up. What's wrong with him? Asked Connie. He only acts like that when there is something coming, but I don't sense any kaiju or titan approaching, said Laura. Sasha looked at Anguirus and looked at the direction that he was seeing. Sasha's eyes widened in shock. Everyone down. Everyone looked at Sasha, then up at the sky. In the marketplace, a woman was selling off the latest catch of fish, but paused as she felt a shadow over her. Has the sun gone down already? She asked herself, but as she paused in fear, not even making a scream, as a giant clawed foot descended upon her. Gigan landed hard on the marketplace but was not damaged by the landing. Gigan observed his surroundings and remembered his mission. Gigan let out his cybernetic roar and fired his cluster light beam from his visor at one part of the town. As he fired the beam, before it hit its target, the beam spilt into smaller bolts of energy upon the target, causing more destruction. What the hell kind of kaiju is that? Shouted Connie in complete shock at the sight of this new kaiju attacking Tanako. We can worry about it later. Right now we need to get the other kaiju core members and get that thing's attention away from the town, shouted Sasha. Sasha turned to Laura. Ms. Laura, send a message to everyone to start evacuating. Laura nodded and turned to the three men. Listen, I want you three to gather as many people as you can and get them in the safe zone while I try and alert everyone else. The two clergymen and farmer nodded, still shaken after seeing the latest attack to their town, and all three headed off. Wait, shouldn't we let Anguirus take care of it, said Connie, pointing at Anguirus stopping near the town. He does not want to cause any damage, but he will try and get its attention, and if that fails we'll do it for him. Now come on, said Sasha, ran to the nearest house and activated and started leaping towards Gigan. Connie's sweat dropped. Funny, looks like her time here made her a lot braver. Well, hurry up, I can't distract that thing all by myself without the others, now move it. Connie cringed at Sasha, shouted at him, and a whole lot bossy. Laura chuckled a little at Connie's misfortune but turned serious as she forced her telepathy at warning the people. Anguirus snarled at the attacker and let out a roar to challenge him, but Gigan did not respond, nor did he glance, which made Anguirus filled up with even more rage than he already felt. Sasha and Connie managed to meet up with the other members of the Kaiju Corps. Of course there are only 5 right now because the rest were busy getting the people to say okay, this one is new, but it is obviously one of the big ones. Sasha said, informing the others, so you two bring out the thunder spears while the rest of us will try and get its attention. 2 of the members nodded and launched themselves to retrieve the weapons. Okay Connie, you take 2 and try to aim for its leg while me and the rookie here will try and its face. You mean the face that is currently firing that beam from its eye, are you? Said Connie in worry. Sasha scoffed, please, you should have seen me when old Mimic first came here. I nearly singed my hair trying to blind it after it scratched my boy. Connie blinked at that for a minute but nodded as both teams set to do their duties. Connie and the squad members managed to avoid some of the debris caused by Gigan's attacks. Connie tried to grapple onto the leg, but as he launched the grapple from his waist, the grapple bounced off it. Surprised, Connie leaped away along with the other 2 and moved safely away from Gigan's rampage. What just happened? Asked the female member. Connie looked at the grappler and saw it completely bend. Incredible, that thing's skin must be harder than anything if it could make that dent, said the other scout. Connie paused. Wait, if its skin is hard then that means. Sasha and the male scout leaped on one of the taller houses. They were now near the height of Gigan's stomach. After seeing reaching the head would be difficult, Sasha plan attack the chest. I'll go first, ma'am, said the rookie and launched before Sasha could speak. The rookie raised his blades and swung hard at chest and crack. In disbelief, his blades shattered on contact with Gigan's skin. The rookie was shocked that he did not see Gigan's scythe claw coming across him. Sasha tried to get him, but it was too late. Of as quick as she activated her gear, the rookie was sliced in half by the moving blade. Damn it! Sasha jumped away, trying hopping the other 2 get those spears if they can work on this kaiju. Sasha moved to the roof of a house where Connie and the others waited for her. What are we going to do now? That thing's hide is tougher than anything our blades can pierce, Connie. Then it is a good thing we brought these then. All 4 of them turned to see the other scouts carrying 4 thunder spears. Are you kidding, only 4 of them, said Connie. We need at least more than that to take that thing down. Sorry sir, but this was all we could find finished, the others were not completed yet, said the scout. Sasha grabbed one of the spears and attached it to her arm. Thanks to the nebulin's design, the weapon became a launcher type instead of having anyone actually get close to target. How do we even know this will work against that? Asked Connie. Only one way to find out. Sasha aimed at Gigan's face and before Connie could speak she fired her weapon. Just as Gigan was about to fire another beam, the thunder spear hit him right on the cheek, causing an electrical explosion. After that, Gigan paused his attack as dust clouds sued his face. The remaining Kaiju Corps paused, then the dust settled, showing Gigan's face completely unharmed and also turning to look down at them. Connie gulped. Well, Sasha, you wanted its attention. Everyone move. Sasha ordered as Gigan let out a roar and raised both arms to slam his claws down on them. Thankfully the Corps dodged it, thus annoying the cyborg Mons. Gigan followed them, crushing houses in his step. Okay, what's the plan now, Sasha? Shouted Connie. Then Gigan fired his beam, missing them again, but 2 of the corpsmen were hit by the rubble that was sent in the air, knocking them down. Everyone fire your spears. It may not damage it, but it is giving it our attention, ordered Sasha. Make sure we get it away from the town and then let my boy do the rest. Yes ma'am, shouted the remaining scouts while Connie nodded as he fired his spear at Gigan's legs. As the spears hit Gigan's legs, he became more annoyed and fired again, but another spear was fired near his visor eye. It did not do any damage, but it annoyed Gigan. The 2 down scouts fired their spears, but Gigan stepped on them, resulting in an explosion that made Gigan twitch. Now Gigan was made and hastened his speed, not realizing that he was almost near the edge of the town. Sasha landed on the ground and turned to face the approaching kaiju. She folded her arms and grinned. Gigan roared, ready to fire at her. "Sasha, move," shouted Connie as he landed on a house with the other two. Gigan was about to fire, then was pushed back hard to the ground by a round object. Gigan raised his head, seeing the round object bounce, then rolled and unrolled in front of Sasha, showing Anguirus. "Go get that one-eyed bastard," said Sasha, moving away from the soon-to-be battlefield. Anguirus let out a roar at Gigan, warning him to stay off his territory. Gigan stood up and roared back. Anguirus snarled and stood on his hind legs and let out another roar. Gigan raised both scythe blades and clanged them together to show off his weapons, but Anguirus roared again, then Gigan jumped and somehow vanished. Anguirus blinked and returned to 4 legs as he looked around for his enemy. How did it do that?" asked Connie, looking around. Sasha did not answer him as she was also looking for Gigan. Anguirus sniffed the area, trying to find some scent of the enemy. As soon as he took a step, Gigan appeared behind him and fired a beam at him. Anguirus roared in both surprise and in pain as the beam separated and surrounded him as they exploded. Anguirus fell on his side but quickly stood us as Gigan was about to in the belly, but thanks to Anguirus's quick thinking, the blade merely scratched his armored back, cutting off a few spikes. Gigan roared in rage and tried to turn around, but Anguirus quickly slammed him at his side, knocking him down on the ground. Anguirus moved away from Gigan, ready to use his jaw to grasp his neck, but was struck by Gigan's tail, scratching Anguirus's face. Gigan stood back up and teleported again. Anguirus growled in frustration, then an idea formed in his head. Anguirus started to curl up and rolled around the destroyed area. Then Gigan appeared again, thinking he was going to strike from behind Anguirus, but before he noticed, his target was not there. Anguirus slammed behind Gigan, knocking him. Gigan stood up only to be knocked down again. Gigan tried to fire his beam as he got up again, but once more Anguirus's rolled form knocked him down again. Laura stood outside the shelter watching the dust clouds from the fight. "Oh, I wish Maul was here, I could really use the help, but no, I just had to let her go after her boyfriend," sighing. "If this keeps up, there may not be a Tanako for anyone to come back to." Laura was about to use her powers to convince Gigan to leave, but then she heard a noise coming from Sky. "Yeah, that's it, knock it down," cheered Connie. Sasha was about to join in, but then she too heard the noise and looked up. Connie, ready to cheer again, also heard the noise and where Sasha was looking. From the sky, a large cylinder rocketed across the sky and crashed in another part of the town. Sasha looked to the 2 remaining scouts. "You two go see what that was, but be careful." The scouts saluted and hurried to the crashed object. Some of the civilians who did not manage to get to the safe zone in time looked at the object cautiously. Then a crack started showing and black smoke and ooze started coming out. As the black smog started to seep out for the crack, it started to open more and more ooze started pee out. The people tried to escape, but when the smog came over them, they started to cough loudly and they all fell to the ground as the ooze came over them. The 2 corpsmen managed to arrive too late as the ooze started to form around itself. They watched in horror as the ooze uncovered the bodies of the people, only to show skill. Then the ooze formed a shape its size 30 meters in height, and like Anguirus the form stood on 4 legs, and in their horror they saw 2 mouths open up showing eyes. Now monster looked at them, shout out a ball of sludge from its body. Before they could move, the 2 scouts were hit by the ooze, completely covering them. They have just met their end by the smog monster Historia. Sasha's eyes widened at seeing this new kaiju appeared as it started walking towards where Anguirus was fighting Gigan. "Where are these things coming from?" shouted Connie. After knocking down Gigan again, Anguirus unrolled himself after smelling a new scent, a smell that ranks of death. Anguirus turned, seeing Historia moving towards the battlefield. Anguirus let out a roar at the newcomer. Historia responded by letting out croaking roar in response. Anguirus was about to roar again but was blasted in the back by Gigan's beam. Gigan standing up roared at the defender of Tanako, then Gigan teleported again, this time appearing next to Historia. Anguirus lifted himself up and roared at both intruders fiercely. Surprisingly, Gigan and Historia responded with strange roar from both of them. "What the hell?" said Connie, "are they laughing?" Sasha growled at them, "Those things dared mock her son." "Oh, if only she was their size, she would show them who to laugh." Laura observed the 2 kaijus and tried to use her telepathic powers, but when she started to focus, she was pushed back. Laura fell to her knees in shock. How can that be? She herself. Somehow or something was blocking her access to their minds. She focused her mind again, this time not on them. Hang, will you please stop trying to pull Gorosaurus's lips? He does not like that. Maul's sweat dropped as she told Hang, who was hanging upside down in front of the Dino Kaiju's nostril, trying to look at his teeth. Just look at the size of these fangs. They just about as sharp as Anguirus's, maybe even sharper, exclaimed Hang. Hang, if you don't listen to Maul you're going to end up its lunch, shouted Moblet, trying to prevent Hang from once again doing something that might lose her head. Gorosaurus snarled, moved his head up, causing the passengers on his head to hold on tight as Puff hang off his nose and allowing Moblet and Marlowe to catch her. That was amazing, let's do it again, shouted Hang, causing Moblet to sigh in defeat. Perhaps it is best not to annoy the meat-eating kaiju that is giving us a lift, said Hitch. By the way, what are we going to do about him? Hitch pointed to a tied-up / unconscious Sanda. Perhaps I can transport him to our ship as well, suggested Fumio. No, said Maul, Sanda helped up, and despite him lying about who he was, I want him to answer back home and not in your cold ship. Miss Maul, I hope you are not letting your own personal feelings affect your judgment, are you? Asked Fumio. Maul was about to shout when Armin stood between them. I think before we do anything we should meet up with the others, don't you think? It is starting to get dark. Maul sighed. You're right, hopefully there. Maul, can you hear me? Maul paused. What? Something wrong, Maul? Asked Armin. Shush, Maul said, focusing her powers. Laura, is that you? Maul, is Nikki with you? Laura spoke telepathically. No, the group split up a while back. What is wrong? Tanako is under attack by 2 new kaijus and I don't think Anguirus can take them alone. Maul looked down at Gorosaurus, seeing his eye looking at her, and slightly nodded his head in response, acknowledging what she too was thinking. Maul answered back, don't worry Laura, I think I have someone who can help out. We will be on our way. Laura replied, just because these things are completely different from the kaijus we faced before. Maul nodded and turned to the group. Guys, there is trouble in Tanako. Is it that Gotengo thing? Said Marlowe. No, 2 new kaijus? Replied Maul. Fumio raised an eyebrow at that. We're going to have to meet up with everyone later, said Maul. In the meantime, hold on tight. Why? Armin asked. Maul grabbed a hold on one of Gorosaurus's head spikes and replied, because he's going to go fast. Gorosaurus roared and took speed towards Tanako. Moblet, Hitch and Marlowe both screamed in surprise while Armin tried his best not to scream, and Fumio was just silent. Armin looked up at the sky and was surprised as a large silver figure flew across them. Did you see that? Shouted Armin. Hang laughing during the run. See what? Armin tried to put what he saw into words. It looked like a flying sliver titan. Fumio's eyes slightly widened, then quickly looked up. Things have gotten more complicated. Gigan roared at Hedorah and he in turn roared back. Then Gigan pointed at Anguirus and Hedorah nodded his head. Anguirus stood his grounds as Hedorah started walking towards him, as Gigan remained where he was. Hedorah paused and made a big leap towards Anguirus, but Anguirus leaped to the side, causing Hedorah to miss him, but a piece of sludge from Hedorah fell off him and landed Anguirus's back. The sludge started to smoke and burn on Anguirus's back as the armored kaiju roared in pain. Then Hedorah leaped again, this time slamming at Anguirus's side, causing burns on shoulder and sides. Anguirus roared in pain and frustration at Hedorah. This would be hard to fight this new foe since its skin can burn him. Gigan watched it all and let out another roar/laugh as he banged his claws together. Anguirus ignored the pain and turned to Hedorah. The smog monster was about to charge at him when Anguirus let out his sonic roar, pushing Hedorah back. Then once more he leaped over Anguirus, causing more acidic sludge to drop from him, this time landing near Anguirus's neck. Anguirus bellowed in pain. Sasha watched teary-eyed over the pain her adopted son was feeling. Damn it, where is the great predator when you need him? Cursed Connie, watching helpless as Anguirus was attacked by the smog monster. Gigan stopped his laughter and started walking towards Anguirus after Hedorah jumped over him again. As soon Gigan was near Anguirus, Gigan opened his back and let out a flames at the armored defender of Tanako. As soon as the flames hit the sludge on Anguirus's back, a huge explosion of flames surrounds Anguirus. Sasha covered her mouth in horror, seeing Anguirus ablaze and crying out in pain, while Gigan and Hedorah returned to their laughter at his pain. Trying to ignore his agony, Anguirus rolled up, trying to put out the flames as well as to strike down Gigan. With the flames finally put out, Anguirus rolled to Gigan, but Gigan did not try to dodge. He just spread his arms wide as if wanting Anguirus to strike. Anguirus continued rolling towards him, and just as he got close, Gigan's chest blades started moving, activating his buzzsaw. It was too late to stop when Anguirus slammed into Gigan. Gigan's buzzsaw cut Anguirus's armored back, nearly making a big gap in it. In pain, Anguirus rolled back only to be slammed again by Hedorah, knocking him down and adding more sludge on his body. Anguirus tried to get up, but the pain from the sludge and wound put him back down. Then he saw Gigan slowly walk towards him, giving off a wicked grin from his back. Gigan stood over Anguirus, his body facing the side of his head. Anguirus let out a weak groan as Gigan raised both side arms up. "No," Sasha whispered, knowing full well what the cyborg monster was going to do. She was about to activate her gear when Connie grabbed a hold of her. "Let me go," she cried out, but Connie kept his grip on her. "Sasha, don't be a fool," he shouted with tears falling from his eyes. "There is nothing we can do now, I'm sorry." Hedorah let out a croaking chuckle as Gigan was about to strike. Anguirus tried to make one more sonic roar, but the smoke from the flames and smudge on his body prevented him to do one. Gigan roared and brought down his arms onto the down kaiju. "No!" shouted Sasha, not seeing a shadow swore over her and Connie. Clang! Anguirus's eyes widened. What was about to be a killing blow was stopped by large metal being better known to us as Jet Jaguar stood over him while holding the blades. Along the way to this location, Jet Jaguar grew to 50 meters in height, thus was able to prevent Anguirus's decapitation by grabbing a hold of Gigan's sides. At the nick of time, Jet Jaguar shoved Gigan away from Anguirus. Gigan roared in rage over not only the missed the chance to kill Anguirus but also the arrival of this old foe. BYYOIA. Jet Jaguar raised his arms in an attack pose, ready for Gigan or Hedorah to make the first move. "What the hell now, there is a metal titan," shouted Connie, but Sasha was more relieved that Anguirus is still alive. Then a roar came out from the forest. "Oh great, now what?" Connie. Out of the forest Gorosaurus came roaring out, then he lowered his head down, letting the riders down off his head. Maul was the first to see the devastation caused by these new kaijus. Armin was also shocked at seeing not only Anguirus on the ground almost looking dead but also Jet Jaguar thing he saw that flew overhead. "What the hell are those things?" said Marlo. "Do you think they are part of those Gotengo people?" said Maul. She turned to Fumio but noticed with shock that he was not with them. "Fumio?" Maul said out loud, alerting the missing nebulin. "Great," said Hitch. "Where did that bug in disguise go?" A bit far away from the group, Fumio hid behind a tree, seeing Jet Jaguar waiting for an attack. Fumio placed a hand by the device on his ear. "Kubota, can you hear me?" "Yes, I hear you," answered Kubota from the device. "Are you aware of what has happened?" Fumio closed his eyes and focused on the hive mind of the nebulins, finding out of the recent death of one of their own by the hands of the Gotengo crew. "Yes, now I'm aware," Fumio said, "and right now their meddlesome robot is interfering with the cleanup operation." "I had hoped that robot was destroyed in our last encounter with it," said Kubota. Fumio nodded. "Indeed, perhaps now with things as they are, we should have Gigan focus on finding and killing this world's Godzilla." Fumio, still connected to the hive mind, could hear Kubota pondering this idea, perhaps, and it would not hurt to call Hedorah back to fully assemble him. "Do that and wait till you hear from me. I have an idea," said Fumio, turning off his device and moving deeper into the woods. Gigan roared and was about to charge when he received new orders. Gigan growled in frustration but understood. Gigan jumped and flew away from Jet Jaguar and the town. Jet Jaguar was about to follow when he noticed Hedorah. The smog monster was about to leap when a blue ray started shining over him. Then suddenly Hedorah was teleported his masters. Jet Jaguar pounded his fist in a show of rage for not getting the chance to fight. Then the robot heard a weak groan. He turned, seeing Anguirus standing up weakly. Anguirus raised his head up, seeing Gigan fly away. Anguirus, in feeling more rage than pain, tried to follow him. But with each step Anguirus continued to feel weak from his injury. Nearing the edge of town, Anguirus stood up on his hind legs and let out a weak, painful roar. Then finally collapsed from the pain. Anguirus laid down on the ground in pain, weak and defeated. Chapter 17, The Whole Story and Reveal. After being cut off from his Titan form, Eren joined the rest back on the Gotengo. "Where is it going?" he asked about Jet Jaguar's suddenly flight away from them. Kazum answered as he put his weapon back on the rack. That overgrown tin can has a mind of its own. Who knows what it will do next? Ozaki put his weapon back as well. But that tin can has saved us time and time again in the past, don't forget that. Kazum just rolled his eyes at him, then looked at Mikasa. Hey, you were a badass out there. Did not know you could move that fast. Levi looked at her. Yes, how did you do that? When Mikasa looked at Levi, he nearly flinched at the cold stare she gave him. He had seen her give looks to him before, some notice him mostly in anger, but the way she was looking at him right now, it almost looked like a wild, dangerous creature was looking at him. I've been practicing, that is all, replied Mikasa coldly. After all, we not only dealing titans anymore. Eren was about to talk to her when Jean came running in the room. Everyone, Mickey has been hurt, he said, catching his breath from running. Eren, Levi and Mikasa looked at him in surprise. What, how? Asked Eren. I don't know, Jean began. One moment she was doing her mind thing, and when I turned back to look at her, she was laying on the floor up against that wall with blood dripping her head. Is she alright? Asked Eren, worrying, not noticing Mikasa showing a small sign of jealousy. They said they took her to a med ward and said she will be fine, said Jean. Something about receiving a minor concussion. Must been when she tried to call that big worm, right, said Kazama. Must been too hard for her to call something that big. Before anyone could say anything, Miyuki came running, stopping next to Jean. Everyone, your town Tanakibo is under attack. That got everyone's attention. What's attacking titans, kaijus? Asked Mikasa. No, the nebulins, Miyuki answered, stunning Eren, Jean, and Levi, but Mikasa looked not surprised due to what she was been told by the dragons. They've sent 2 of their kaijus to attack, Miyuki informed. They have kaijus, said Jean. Which ones? Asked Ozaki. Miyuki looked at him, answering, from what our long-range cameras can guess. It's Hedorah and I think Gigan, but it looks different. Dame, cursed Ozaki, I thought we got rid of that one. Well, that explains why Jaguar left, said the M Squad woman. Care to fill us in, said Levi. Kazama looked at him. To put it simple, Gigan and Hedorah are one of the bug's heavy hitters, and if they send those 2, then that means they are done playing nice. Jean glared at him. They must have attacked because of you guys when you killed that nebulin. Eren stood between Jean and Kazama. Now is no time for blame right now, Jean. You know I'm really getting annoyed with you being calm about this, said Jean, still angry. Eren sighed. You know, I think I am too, but right now we should be focusing on protecting Tanakibo. And that is what we are going to do, said Miyuki. Jaguar should already be there now. The captain is already preparing for liftoff. Okay, everyone to your stations, shouted Ozaki. The M Squad, besides Ozaki and Kazama, headed off to their own stations, getting ready for any attack once the ship is in flight. The rest of you follow us to the bridge, said Ozaki. Ozaki led with Miyuki and Kazama following close behind him. Eren and rest followed soon. As they walked, they passed by more people, some wearing the M Squad suits, others wearing different cloths. Eren paused his steps as he saw a window showing Mickey laying down table while men in white are looking over her and holding strange devices over her. Eren was about to get a better look when Mikasa pushed him to move on. Eren turned to her. They said she will be fine now, let's move, she said coldly and continued to push. Eren stopped and turned to her. Mikasa, wait. What is going on with you? Mikasa did not look at him. There is nothing wrong with me, now let us keep. No, Eren interrupted. You've been acting strange ever since we left that capsule. Mikasa did not answer. Eren looked at with worry. Mikasa, I just want to make sure you are alright. Mikasa raised her head. Eren moved back a bit, seeing the look in her eyes. Mikasa frowned, saying, I don't need you to worry about me. Unlike you, I can handle myself. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Eren said, nearly shouting. I've managed to handle myself on my own while Mikasa, or have you forgotten that? I have not forgotten how the great predator almost ate you. Eren stopped at that, remembering how he was close to death at that moment. Mikasa walked past him, but not before saying, when it was just titans, I had admitted you see handle things alone. But now the world is different. From the way it is now, you don't have the power. Mikasa walked and said quietly to herself, but I do. Eren stood silent and looked back at Mikasa. Despite how cold she said it, she was right. The world has changed. True, it was good that there are few titans left, but in their place they may not be like the titans, but some are still a threat to humanity, and he did not have the strength of the great predator, the creature that can bring down both kaijus and to defeat them. Eren took a breath and shone a look of determination. Save up to 90% on Temu Temu, save up to 90% on Temu Temu, but that does not mean that he was not going to try. Eren continued to follow them. Mikasa put a hand on her head. How could she have said that to Eren, she thought to herself. Do not worry, Mikasa, spoke the left head, the knowledge one. He needed to hear that, otherwise he would have ventured off facing against creatures that are beyond his skill. If you ask me, started the right head, the ferocity one. That idiot needed to hear it. He may have the power to turn into a titan, but he is still a human after all. Now let us be kind here, spoke the middle head, the decision one. Eren has good intentions despite not have great power. Do not worry about Eren for now, Mikasa, sometime love is required to achieve one's goal. Yes, said Mikasa, I think I understand. Understand what? Mikasa looked, seeing Jean looking at her. I said I think I understand why the nebulins are attacking us, Mikasa said. Jean looked at her oddly. Yes, that is what I said, remember? I mean, now that they know we are helping their enemies, they will try and get rid of us before we have the chance to inform everyone else back at the walls, said Mikasa. Jean nodded. True, and maybe they're still mad about losing whatever was inside that capsule of theirs. Jean then quickly stopped before he could run into Miyuki, who stopped in her tracks. She turned to face them as Ozaki, Kazama, and Levi continued on. Wait, did you say capsule? Miyuki asked. What capsule? The one they said you shot out of their ship, said Jean. They said it had a dangerous weapon in it. A weapon? What kind? Miyuki asked with worry. Do they have it now? Hey, relax, it was gone by the time we got in there, right, Mikasa? Jean turned to his comrade. After all, you went in there first. Mikasa looked at Miyuki as she waited for an answer. Now is not the time to tell, all three heads said in her mind. I'll tell you as I told that nebulin. I did not see anything, Mikasa lied, just a bunch of broken objects and sparks, nothing at all. Hey, are you guys coming or not? Shouted Kazama. Miyuki turned to him, then back at them. We should talk about this later, okay? Miyuki then followed them to a door. Jean and Mikasa looked at each other, then followed her, with Eren managing to catch up with them. When they entered, they were in a room somewhat similar to the Nebulin's control station but smaller. Around the room was a couple of screens and at least 8 chairs, at Leah the middle a single chair, which is being occupied by Captain Gordon, with Rokuro and Dr. Shiragami standing either side of him. Think of the Gotengo Bridge from Final Wars. Are we ready to take off yet? Said Captain Gordon. Almost, sir, said one of the people by the screens. Just getting double checks from the engine room. Well, the sooner we lift off the better. That robot can't handle both of them on its own. Don't worry, Captain, said Rokuro. Jet Jaguar is designed to handle any problems. Word from engineering, sir, said Miyuki, they're ready. All right. Gotengo launch, ordered Captain Gordon, and at once the ship's engines fired up and everyone felt the ship rising up from the ground. Then a screen appeared showing Gotengo rising up in the air and headed on its way to Tanakibo. Do you think this ship can handle them? Asked Eren. Well, of course it withstood an attack from Godzilla, didn't it? Said Rokuro. Eren looked at Rokuro confused. Who? Sasha could barely speak as she witnessed Anguirus collapsing to the ground. She wanted to look away, but how could she? Anguirus's body is covered in burns and the sludge of Hedora, and worse of all, it seemed like his breathing was slowing down. Then Sasha did manage to look away, but not out of horror. She noticed the metal titan starting to walk towards Anguirus. Jet Jaguar slowly started walking towards the down kaiju, then paused as Gorosaurus stood in his way. Gorosaurus let out a roar to tell Jet Jaguar to stay away as Maul, Armin, Hang, and Moblet used their 3D gears to move onto one of the houses that was not destroyed during while Hitch and Marlowe ventured on foot towards the town, but away from the edge as they carried Sanda still knocked out. Just what we need, another Titan, said Hitch, annoyed, but Marlowe looked at Jet Jaguar oddly. It looks different from the other Titans, he said. Don't they all? Said Hitch. No, I mean look at it, Marlowe said, pointing at Jet Jaguar with his free hand. It's humanoid, but I don't think it's a Titan. Hitch was about to call him an idiot when she got a good look at Jet Jaguar's face. You know, now that you mentioned it, Hitch began, it does not give me the whole Titan V'd. Gorosaurus roared again to stay away, but Jet Jaguar stayed in his place, but raised both hands and up non-threatening. BYYOIA. Jet Jaguar shouted at Gorosaurus, causing the kaiju dinosaur to pause. Gorosaurus roared again at the robot. BYYAYA. 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 As Jet Jaguar spoke, he pointed down to Anguirus, BYYAYA. "Oh, this is amazing," shouted Hang in excitement over this new Titan. "Just look at that thing. And is it really talking to Gorosaurus? Wow. I can see that. Now please don't let know where we are yet," shouted Moblet, trying to keep Hang under control. "Maul, can you understand what it said?" asked Armin. "I don't know," Maul replied. "We tried using our telepathy on Titans before, but all we get are..." Maul paused, feeling uneasy, thinking back. "Maul?" Armin asked. Maul looked up at Jet Jaguar and finished, "I said all we get are screams." BYYOIA. After Jet Jaguar finished, he put down his arms and surprisingly Gorosaurus moved away, allowing Jet Jaguar to move towards Anguirus. Sasha saw this and clenched her fist. "Oh no you don't," she snarled. "No one is going to harm Anguirus again while she has anything to do with it." "Sasha, wait a second," said Connie, grabbing her arm. "Connie, sorry about this," Sasha said, and before Connie could respond she punched him hard in the face, knocking him down. Then quickly she activated her 3D gear and launched herself at Jet Jaguar. "Wait, is that Sasha?" said Armin, seeing Sasha graping her way towards the metal Titan. Sasha saw Jet Jaguar bending down on one knee as he looked down at Anguirus. Quickly Sasha draw out her blades ready to cut the back of his neck. "Takes this, you silver bastard." Now close she swung her blades at Jet Jaguar's neck end. Crack! Her blades broke on contact, just like what happened on Gigan. "Damn it, not again." Sasha landed on a house and launched herself again. She was about to pull out another blade, but then Jet Jaguar noticed her and grabbed her by his hand. Connie got up, rubbing his bloody nose just as he saw Sasha in the grip of the metal Titan. "Sasha," he shouted. Sasha tired to struggle out, but the grip was too strong for her. She looked at the unmoving face of the metal Titan. She could hear Anguirus growling as he saw Jet Jaguar holding Maul, Armin, Hang, and Moblet were about to assist her when, to their shock, Jet Jaguar just gently put her down on the ground next to Anguirus. Sasha looked back at Jet Jaguar in surprise, then Jet Jaguar pointed at her, then pointed down as if asking her to stay right there. Jet Jaguar turned to gaze at Anguirus. Anguirus let out a weak groan as he saw Jet Jaguar move a hand towards his face. He expected him to try and shock him, but instead Jet Jaguar gently rubbed the side of Anguirus's face in comfort. Jet Jaguar looked at Anguirus's back, then back at his face. BYOIA. Whatever Jet Jaguar said towards Anguirus caused him to relax a little as the robot raised another hand towards the kaiju's back. Then Jet Jaguar's black eyes glowed for a second, then a hole appeared on the open palm of the robot's hand and out of it came blue bubble foam and started covering Anguirus. As the foam made contact with his back, Anguirus started growling in pain. Sasha was about to attack Jet Jaguar again, but then she noticed something fall off of Anguirus. Sasha carefully looked down and saw a piece of the sludge that was launched by Hedorah on the ground and started to dissolve thanks to the foam on it. Soon the grow started to quiet down as Jet Jaguar continued to spray any parts with Hedorah's sludge on it. Sasha turned around, seeing Armin, Maul, Hang, and Moblet down on the ground coming towards her. "What is going on? What is it doing to Anguirus?" said Armin, looking up at Jet Jaguar. "I don't know, but it seems to be healing him, I think," Sasha said, looking back up. Jet Jaguar then stopped and moved his hand in Anguirus's face, and instead of foam, a spray was shot into his mouth and nostrils. Anguirus cringed a little but relaxed as the air stopped and stood back up. Anguirus's breathing returned to normal, but he was still wounded, so he stayed still. Gorosaurus looked down at Anguirus and started moving away, but not too far as her look out the forest. Jet Jaguar looked down at the people observing him, then Jet Jaguar did some motions with his arms, and to the surprise of everyone he started shrinking down to regular Huma. Everyone moved back except for Hang, who wanted to get near Jet Jaguar, but Moblet held her back. Jet Jaguar looked at them, then waved his hand in saying hello, BYYLIA. Before anyone could do or say anything, Gorosaurus roared, causing them to turn to his direction, and out of the forest came out the Gotengo. Connie managed to join everyone as well as Hitch and Marlo with Sanda still tied up, just as the Gotengo appeared. "Oh no, not that thing again," said Connie looking up. Anguirus growled at the ship but was too weak to do anything as it flew overhead and landed between the battlegrounds and the rest of Tanako. Laura watched the whole thing and started walking towards the ship, which landed close to the safe zone. Laura cautiously moved towards the ship, then paused, seeing Jaguar walking towards it, followed by everyone else. "Maul!" Laura shouted, running towards her sister. "Laura!" Maul said, seeing Laura run up to her, but when Laura got up to her, Laura slapped her on the shoulder. "I'll be quick," you said, Laura said with a mock tone. "Nothing crazy is going to happen," you said. "Maybe a few smaller kaijus," you said. "Okay, I deserve that," Maul said. Then she looked back, seeing Sanda still knocked out. Laura looked as well, then turned back to Maul. "Well, I expected you to drag him back here. You did not enjoy doing it." Maul blushed. "Laura, now is not the time to be thinking or saying stuff like that." Then they heard a sound coming from the ship. Everyone turned towards the Gotengo and saw 5 people. One no one knew, but the others are well known. "Jean," shouted Connie. "Mikasa," shouted Sasha. "Aaron," shouted Armin. "Captain Levi," shouted Moblet. Levi used his 3D gear to come down off the ship and towards the group. "Captain Levi, what happened?" asked Marlo. "Hold on," shouted Hitch. "How do we know that is the real Levi? For all we know, these Gotengo guys made a copy of him." Everyone paused, watching Levi carefully. Levi narrowed his eyes and sighed. "Yep, that is the real Levi," said Hang. "How can you be sure?" asked Armin. "Trust me, I know the captain for some time, and I know you don't have to be a psychic to know the real Levi." Hang then walked to the front of the group and at Levi. "So what's been going on?" Levi looked back at the ship, then at Jaguar, and back at the group inside. "This is going to take a while." Emer looked out the window, having left the med room to stretch her legs. She wanted to look out at the stars, but the lights from the nebulin ship made it hard to spot them. "It also doesn't help that that thing is too damn big," Emer said to herself. Emer looked away from the window and saw Historia walking towards her, as well as being followed by a nebulin that strangely looks familiar. Then Emer cringed at seeing Historia's face. "Look like she's angry again. Let me guess, another sore conversation, queen to queen?" Slap. Emer stumbled to the window and held her cheek after Historia slapped her. "What'd I do this time?" Emer asked, rubbing her cheek. "Why didn't you tell me about the curse?" Emer's eyes widened. She looked at Historia, her eyes filled with anger and sadness. I don't understand?" Emer lied. "What curse? What are you talking about?" "The curse the moment one becomes a Titan shifter," said Historia, her hand trembling. "The curse that makes you live for only 13 years. Historia grabbed Emer's shirt. Historia looked up at her face with tears ready to fall from her face. "Please, Emer," she begged, "just tell me the truth. You promised me as soon as we became a couple you would not keep secrets from me." Emer looked at her with sadness, her own hands trembling as she grabbed a hold of Historia's own trembling hands. "Please," Historia begged once more, "just tell me." Emer's lip trembled as she moved her hands to wrap around Historia. "I'm sorry. I did not want to tell you. I'm sorry." Historia started to sob quietly as Emer held her tight, both completely ignoring the nebulin observing them. "Ahem, Your Highness," spoke the nebulin. "I hate to intrude on this moment, but perhaps you should tell Emer the good news?" Emer looked at the nebulin in confusion. "What good news, and who are you?" The nebulin chuckled. "Oh, of course, how rude of me. You can call me Frida." "Frida?" Emer said in confusion, then she recalled that name and looked down at Historia. Emer saw her Historia giving a death glare at the nebulin. Frida was the name of Historia's sister, the original holder of the founding Titan. Emer also recalled how she was killed and eaten by Aaron's father, the original holder of the Atta. "You've got to be kidding me." Emer snarled at the nebulin for wearing the face of her love's dead sister. The nebulin Frida sighed sadly. "Apologize, as soon as I was assigned to be her bodyguard I had thought this form would make things easy. But it seems to be obvious that it case." "Gee, what makes you say that?" said Emer in sarcasm. "Anyway, perhaps you should tell her about how thanks to us we have fixed your curse problem." Emer looked confused. She looked at Historia as she let withdraw from the embrace. Historia pulled out the same bottle that the Nebulin Queen gave her. I have been told that what's contained in this bottle will be able to let you and Aaron live longer lives as Titan shifters, Historia said as she held the bottle close to her. Emer looked amazed in shock at this news. This tiny bottle can keep her alive? Enough to live a longer life with Historia? This seemed too good to be true. How? Is it really true? Emer asked. Well, it is quite simple. You see, the brilliant mind of Kubota studied. I was not talking to you. Emer snapped at the Nebulin, then looked back at Historia. They said they would be making more for Aaron and you, Historia said, holding the bottle out to Emer. Emer gently took the bottle and held it close to her face. Emer looked at the Nebulin and at the bottle. How long will I live when I take this? She asked. The Nebulin Frida explained, take one bottle and you will have an extra 2 lives, and let's say if you drink at least 20 you will be able to live for 40 years if you so wish, so all I have to do is drink this and I can live longer? Emer asked once more. That is what you are saying. Emer looked at the bottle again, then at the Nebulin. Nothing else to happen to me when I drink this, right? The Nebulin shook her head. Nope, all that it does is increase your lifespan. All you have to do is drink it. Emer looked at Historia, then at the bottle. She took a deep breath. Then twisted the cap off and drank the liquid whole. Emer gulped it all down, leaving no drop left from the bottle. Are you all right? Historia asked, concerned. Emer looked at her and answered, well, I wished it would taste better, but all in all I feel fine. Emer looked at the Nebulin. I may not like you guys, but thanks. Nebulin Frida smiled. All we wish to do is help. Your Highness? Historia turned to see Commander Pixis and Commander Irwin walking towards them. Commander Pixis, Commander Irwin, what is the matter? Historia asked. Pixis looked at her. Emer and the Nebulin, I'm sorry, are we interrupting anything? No, nothing. Is there something you want to say? Historia asked. She noticed Irwin looking at the Nebulin with suspicion. It is just that both Commander Irwin and I saw an object flying from the ship off beyond the walls, said Pixis. I also saw a shadow of a kaiju flying overhead. Also coming from the ship, added Irwin. Historia and Emer both looked at Nebulin Frida, who was still smiling. Nebulin Frida looked at them and answered. All I am is your bodyguard. My job is to watch you and protect you, that is all that I know. Historia looked at her with added suspicion, then Irwin said, we were hoping to speak with the Nebulin Queen about this. Is she still here? Historia answered, I believe so, she is in the... I'm sorry, but Queen Natala has returned to the ship and is soon enough about to make announcement to everyone within the walls, replied Nebulin Frida. What? Said Historia, I was not aware of this. Why did she not tell me about this? And how do you know about that? Emer asked. I thought you said protecting Historia is all that you know? Nebulin Frida looked at Emer with a creepy smile. Oh. Emer, you have so much to learn about our race. Attention please. Attention please. The sound echoed across the walls and the palace. Historia led everyone to the palace balcony. There they saw the floating cube below the ship at screen blank. Natala, Queen of the Nebulins, wishes to speak with all of you. Please hear our Queen's words. Spoke the voice from the cube. Then the black image showed Queen Anne sitting on her throne wearing an orange alien gown, with large frills behind the back of her head and the dress completely covering her legs and arms except showing her hands where unloved. Queen Natala smiled as she spoke through the cube. People of the walls, I apologize if I've interrupted your slumber, but what I have to say cannot be ignored. Across the walls of Sheena and Maria, people looked up at the cube alongside a couple of Nebulins. All watched as the Nebulin Queen continued. Too late, it has come to our attention that the town known as Tanako has been attacked and devastated by an unknown kaiju. Everyone besides the Nebulins stated, mumming to each other about this. Attacked? By what kind of kaiju? Perhaps it was a titan? You idiot, she said, kaiju, not titan. Perhaps it was their so-called protector. I knew that armored thing would turn on them. Devastated? Historia said in concern, thinking about her friends there. Emer put a hand on her shoulder in comfort. I will now show you images we have managed to capture before the creature left. Warning, what you all about to see may frighten you. As soon as she said that, the images of the screen changed to that of Gigan attacking Tanako. Everyone besides the nebulin screamed or gasped in terror at the sight of the cyborg monster attacking the town with his claws and beams. As you can see, spoke the queen as the screen continued showing the attack. The creature possesses far more power than any kaiju alive and perhaps is just as powerful than the great predator himself. Historia gasped as the image changed to that of Gigan attacking Anguirus, and Anguirus appears to be losing terribly. That kaiju, I know that is the one I saw, said Erwin looking at Gigan. Historia looked at him then back at the image while Emer glanced at the nebulin who was given strange looks. Even the town's protector could not stand up against this monster. Then the image changed again showing Anguirus lying down looking near death and Gigan flying out showing some of the devastation caused by the monster. As you see, this new kaiju is much more deadly than anything that was walked on your world. Then the image returned to the nebulin queen. But do not worry, should this monster come here we will defend you. Then Natala frowned. However, it has come to our attention that some of the people here want us here. You wish for us to leave your world. Then Historia saw many small orbs flying out of the bottom of the cube. 4 of the orbs flew towards Historia, Emer, Pixis, and Erwin. The orbs floating in front of them showed 2 buttons, one red and one blue, nothing else. Emer noticed that some of the orbs entered into the palace as well as seeing some of them in front of passers-by. The orbs in front of you have been passed to multiple humans and on those orbs there are 2 buttons. If you push the blue button then it means you wish us stay, but if you push the red button then that means you wish for us to leave and we will do that. Historia looked at the orbs in front of them in surprise. All it takes to decide if the nebulins should stay or go and they are giving the choice to everyone? Please take your time. It is your decision, but remember we are here to help, for all we want is peace. Will you allow us to give you that peace? The decision I hands. An awkward silence filled the main room within the Gotengo. Sitting down in the chairs was Captain Gordon, Miyuki, Dr. Shiragami, Ozaki, and Nick Tatopoulos and Rokuro with Jaguar standing by them. Also sitting down are Levi, Mikasa, Jean and Aaron, while Maul, Laura, Armin, Hang and Moblet sitting in extra seats, each of them having been explained Aaron and Levi over what they have found out so far. Okay, let me just see if I heard this right, said Armin. So the nebulins lie to us, they are the real invaders and they want to control us and all of you are here to stop them? Yes, that is right, said Miyuki. Armin put a hand on his head trying once more to process all of this. Great, and I thought things could not get any more complicated. Aaron looked at his friend, his face in worry that matches Maul and Laura. When they carefully entered the ship, Aaron told them of what happened to Mickey, but he assured them that it's be alright for now. Sasha chose to stay outside not only to watch over Anguirus but because she is still upset when the Gotengo attacked him. So the 2 kaijus that attacked us, started Laura, they were sent here by the Nublins? That's right, said Nick pushing a button on the table. Everyone besides the Gotengo crew were surprised by the images being shown on the table. The images shown Hedora swimming in water and what looks like Gigan, except this skin color was different. Instead of black and red it was gold and green. From what we've been told, you were attacked by their most dangerous creations. Nick pointed to the first image. This is Hedora, a creature made up of deadly toxin and her whole body is solid sludge that can melt your skin and it create deadly gases that can kill any human that breathes it instantly. Then he pointed to the next image. This one is Gigan, a cyborg. Nick saw some of them a bit confused on that word. Think of a creature made out of both flesh and metal. We encountered Gigan and we thought we killed him, but it seems they either brought him back and upgraded him or they had another one stashed away. Do they have any more of those? Asked Maul, concerned after the destruction those 2 caused. It would be a nightmare if there was more of them. We don't know, we did manage to kill some of their kaijus. Mudos, servums, we got rid of them, but who knows what else they have, said Ozaki. Hang trying to keep her cool and not go overboard with all the wonderful things on this magnificent ship. Heard what Ozaki said and remembered what when Fumio transport a Mimic and Reiner to the nebulin ship, are they going to use them for their purpose? And you all are humans? Asked Moblet. Yes we are, answered Shiragami. Like you we were all born on Earth but in a different dimension. Dimension? Asked Mikasa, everyone else besides the Gotengo crew looking confused. Rokuro walked to them, his face beaming with excitement. Oh, can I explain? Please, Captain. Gordon sighed, okay, but keep it simple, even I have trouble trying to wrap my head around it. Rokuro pushed a couple of buttons and new images appeared on the table. They showed the planet Earth and multiple cities from different countries. Everyone looked at the Aaron and Armin saw in amazement over what they saw, as did everyone. You see, this Earth, the planet we live in, as well as where we are on right now. But the images you see, these cities are from our own dimension. We got to your world by the US wormhole, Rokuro explained. Those bugs mentioned something about a wormhole, said Levi looking at the cities. Yes, as I said, that is how we got here, said Rokuro as he continued on. You see, there is a whole lot of differences between your world and ours. For example, your technology is ahem. Rokuro flinched and looked at Miyuki, giving him a cold stare, like an older sister telling her younger brother to behave. Be nice, she said. Rokuro chuckled nervously, well, technology is not always everything, but other than that, the other thing is in our dimension we have no titans. That got attention from everyone. A world without titans, said Armin in amazement. Now that is a world I don't mind living in, said Jean. Well, yeah, but we do have one thing that you guys have, Rokuro said as he pressed some more buttons and new images were shown, kaijus. The images showed newspapers, each in different languages, with pictures of kaijus attacking cities. Some of the kaijus they recognized and some they don't. You see, throughout human history mankind has been under attack by these monsters, said Nick. Some awoken by weapon testing, while others were unknowingly create humans. This all began in 1954 when Godzilla attacked. Aaron looked at Rokuro. I've heard you said that name, what is Godzilla? Now it was the Gotengo crew's turn to look at them oddly. You know Godzilla, said Ozaki, you've seen it before. We've seen lots of kaijus here, said Maul, you're going to have to be a bit more specific. The kaiju with the large spikes on its back and breaths fire, said Gordon, you know, the one that attacked the Gotengo when we first came here. You mean the Great Predator, said Laura. Great Predator? Is that what you call it, said Ozaki. Well, it does sound a lot better than what you call him, said Jean. Talk about a dumb name. Well, sometimes we call him Gajira, said Rokuro. I don't know, I kinda like it, said Laura. But the Great Predator was sent by Deliverance to help free us from the Titans, said Maul. Gordon put his hand over his eyes. Great, they think that thing is a god. Well, he did came from the sky, said Maul, feeling insulted. Wait, didn't they, and the nebulins came from the sky too, said Jean. Wait, what, said Rokuro. Of course, now it makes sense, said Nick, looking over to Dr. Shiragami. Doctor, you remember, right? Shiragami snapped his fingers. You're right. Then he pressed some buttons once more. The image changed, this time showing Godzilla standing forward. No doubt taken when the Gotengo first came to Tanakibo. Then words and numbers and other weird symbols appeared around the picture. That explains why there was less radiation on him when we scanned him, said Shiragami. Aaron's group looked confused over what was going on now. Look right here, Shiragami pointed to image, this time showing a strange glow surrounding Godzilla, that is the same aura-like substance that surrounds the Gotengo. I can't how, but this Godzilla must have come from another dimension. Maul and Laura were shocked after hearing that as they looked to each other, both feeling bothered by this. Armin saw that and wanted to change the subject quickly. So what was your dimension's Godzilla like? Nick looked at him, then pushed another button showing another image besides Godzilla. This image shows the Godzilla that attacked in 1954. Aaron looked at the picture. This Godzilla was definitely different from the one he knew. Instead of green skin, it had charcoal gray skin, his dorsal plates were not as sharp and jagged, and its face was not like the Godzilla he saw. Then there is the eyes. Aaron instant recognized those eyes. They showed great hate, much like he had felt or what he used to feel. Nick showed an image of a city. This was the city of Tokyo before Godzilla, and this is what happened when he came. Nick pressed another button and Aaron moved back, seeing that Godzilla started attacking the city, turning that land into rubble. Aaron saw bodies being crushed or burned by this Godzilla. Then Aaron felt a pausing feeling on his brain as he watched the images, then it soon went away, but it was weird. It was almost like he was there. Maul and Laura held each other's hand as they watched in terror at what they witnessed. Levi frowned. This devastation, not even Titans could cause something like that. Could the Godzilla do the same to them? Wow. was all Hang had to say about it. Nobody knew if she was talking about the table or the images. Thankfully, a scientist named Daisuke Serizawa managed to create a weapon and kill Godzilla, said Miyuki. But ever since then, once or twice a year, our world has been attacked kaijus. Most called it the curse of Gojira. Anyway, 50 years later after that, started Gordon, that is when those bugs appeared, saying that they can get rid of all of our problems. Most people believed them, others skeptical. But, said Godin as he took out a cigar and started to smoke out of it, an unlikely ally told us all about them. Turns out they go to other planets, spread their crap about peace. Really, they want the people to become so dependent on them that they will do anything those bugs ask them to. That is what they want from us, asked Armin. They want us as slaves. Yeah, Gordon puffed out a smoke ring. That is just about what they want, and by the time we figured it out and spread the word, they attacked. Weapons, kaijus, they used AL, but we weren't defenseless, said Ozaki. We managed to capture some of their weapons and use them to our own advantage. Such as the Gotengo and Jet Jaguar. Ozaki added, in fact, some of the surviving kaijus of Earth started fighting against the nebulins, said Miyuki. The battle was long, we lost many friends and loved ones, said Dr. Shiragami. The room became quiet. Levi and Hang saw the looks on their faces. They knew that look, all to lost of comrades in battle. Finally, we got them on the run, Gordon said. They started losing soldiers and weapons and escaped. But my crew and I made a decision. Ozaki started, we swore that what they did to our world they will never do another, so we left to what we thought was a one-way trip to destroy their main ship. And the rest you've already know, said Miyuki. We found ourselves here, seeing the nebulins doing it again. Gordon looked at everyone present, but this time, we are going to stop them before they even spread across this planet. Aaron looked at the Gotengo crew, each showing look of determination on their faces, much like how he and his friends had when they started becoming scouts to fight the Titan. By the way, Levi started, what do you think's is happening now back at your world? Probably some rebuilding, said Gordon. There is some trouble those bugs left, but there are some who can handle it. Like what? Armin asked. Gordon paused and thought back to what he saw on the ship main screen as they left. The sky was dark, but the flames added a mixed red to it. What was once a grand city was now a battlefield. A large gray-skinned hunchbacked kaiju started firing from its shoot-fast speed machine. The machine stands on two legs with a drill on each hand and on its face, as it fired beams from its eyes at the kaiju. Then an explosion occurred near a lake, and out of the flam-winged red armored kaiju. Its mere presence would make one think the devil has walked the earth. As it walked, two objects formed the sky came down in front of it. The first looked like tusked turtle standing on two legs, the other was a large humanoid with a silver head and large glowing yellow eyes. As the giant turtle roared, the silver giant stepped forward and held both arms out in an attack position. Shoo, watch! Gordon came back from his flashback. To tell you the truth, kid, even I find it hard to say. As the full moon shines on the nebulin ship, the orbs started flying back to the cube screen. The nebulin queen Natala looked at an image that appeared in front of her. She then spoke. It seems there is a tie-on if we should stay or go. And there is one orb left. Someone has not made their choice yet. Historia gazed at the orb in front of her. Of course she had to be the one to make the final choice, she thought to herself. Do you need help in making a choice, Your Majesty? Said Nebulin Frida. Emer glared at the nebulin, then looked at Historia. Hey, if you want to know what I think, you should. Emer, no, said Erwin, grabbing her shoulder. This is her decision to make. We can't interfere with this. Historia actually wished to hear what Emer thinks she should do, but she also knew that Erwin is right. She is the queen, she must make the final choice. Historia remembered what the Natala said to her, sometimes for the good of everyone. We must do things we do not want. Historia sighed. Then she pushed the blue button. Then with quick speed the orb returned to the cube, and Natala looked at the recent change and smiled. Well, it seems you've all made the right choice. We will stay. Historia fell to her knees. Emer went to her quickly before anyone else. Emer asked her if she was alright, but Historia could not answer. She was slightly shaken, as if pushing the itself took a lot out of her, but it was more of the decision itself. Now to start off with our permanent stay. I order the complete destruction of the real problem with the human race. Natala smiled, your walls. Histoire quickly lifted herself back up after hearing that. What? Then sides of the ship glowed blue and a beam shot out within wall Sheena. Just 3 meters away from the wall stood the Flora Titan once known as Annie the female Titan. Then another blue beam fired this time close to wall Rose and just like the Flora Titan, it stood 3 meters away. The creature that appeared from the beam looked like Zilla except it had metal parts on its legs, chest and head, and its arm was replaced by a metal one. This kaiju was once called Old Mimp by the people on Tanako, but now it is called Cyberzilla. Now destroy the walls and the titans within them. At the Nebulin Queen's orders the Flora Titan raised its non-mouthed tendrils and sent 4 of them to pierce the walls. The people ran as the creature started pulling and parts of the wall started to crumble, but before any rubble could crush some people, many other tendrils started grabbing some rubble. Cyberzilla roared and fired missiles from its dorsal spikes at the wall, destroying parts of it. The people watched in complete horror, not for the destruction of parts of the wall but the face that in the grip of the 4 tendrils held a colossal titan. Look, a titan! I was right, there is a titan in the walls. As the crowd shouted, one of the Flora Titan's mouth tendrils started moving towards the titan, then it grabbed the titan's face with its jaw and started melting it with its AC. Cyberzilla watched as a colossal titan fell from well, parts of the wall stood in like a jungle cat. Cyberzilla pounced on the down titan and started ripping it apart with its T-claws. Histoire and Emer watched in shock as well as Pixis and Erwin as they witnessed the Flora Titan kill the colossal titan and started destroying more parts of the wall. Do not fear humans, shouted Natala. For as of this moment, we shall be your walls. We shall protect you. Defend you. For we will bring you peace. Natala smiled again, but when Histoire saw that smile, she could almost tell that it was meant directly at her. And to show no ill will between us, Natala started, let us show you our true face. Then the screen went black and returned back into the ship. True face, said Pixis confused. Then came a strange sound was heard behind them. They turned, seeing the Nebulin Frida twitching, and as she moved slightly there come small sounds crunching. They watched as the Nebulin started twisting her arms, her legs, then the skin started to crack and her body started expanding, and most surprisingly the cloth started to change as if to adapt to the wearer. Historia slowly started walking towards her, then reeled back as she saw the Nebulin's eyes turn full black. Then at once the human skin shattered like glass hitting the floor, and what once stood a human-looking woman now stands a humanoid insect. Historia almost screamed at what once stood a creature resembling her sister now stand an insect-like creature. It stood on 2 grasshopper-like legs, it had skinny arms with 3 fingers on each hand as well as 2 small arms underneath the bigger ones, a short tail with pincers at its head had long antennas, its eyes large and round like a fly with a rounded pincer mouth. The yellow uniform now covered only the chest-like armor among its hard-plated skin. Emer pulled Hisotra close to her as Pixis and Erwin stood side by side to them as they carefully watched the insect creature. Historia was told that the Nebulin's real form was that of an insect, but she never thought that is what they look like. Historia could almost hear the screams of the people across Wall Sina and Rose. Throughout Wall Sina and Walls Rose, Nebulins all returned to their original forms, and each one is witnessed by humans. Some ran away in terror, some were petrified, while all watched in horror as they watched the final faces of their lost loved ones instantly changed into insect creatures. The insect Nebulin stood looking at them, its head twitching and fingers curling and uncurling. Pixis and Erwin were about to take out their blades when Histoire walked past. Your Majesty, Pixis said, trying to stop her, but Emer put a hand on his shoulder telling him to stop. Histoire stood before the Nebulin. She looked at it trying to keep a calm, brave face, but just looking at the Nebulin, Histoire started trembling. The Nebulin looked at her as it clicked its mandibles. What do you think of our true form, Your Majesty? The Nebulin spoke with a deep, raspy voice. At least I am not wearing the face of your dead sister now, am I? Histoire did not answer. The Nebulin then turned away and started to enter the palace. Just so you know, you've made the right choice. Histoire watched the Nebulin leave, but she did not once believe she made the right choice. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this part. If you want more, like this video, hit that notification bell, and maybe even give a comment on your thoughts on the video. With that being said, I'll see you all in the next part.